Hello, and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho, your host, and today is Friday, June 12th, 3:20 p.m. Welcome to the live stream. Sorry we weren't live yesterday. We got some things in the works and thought I should take a break yesterday, but some exciting announcements for this weekend, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But before we hop in, I thought I would share with you a draft from yesterday while I wasn't live. I did happen to enter the lobby while Davis Maddock and Liam Murphy were live yesterday. So I thought it'd be fun to just show y'all how this draft went. We were drafting at the 105. Davis Maddock was in at the 107 during that draft. So I was pretty happy. Someone took Genti at pick 3. I got Puka at pick 5, and I didn't get a little crazy. I ended up with Derrick Henry, Travis, Luther Burden, Travion Henderson in the 5th. Caleb got the stack. I took DK Metcalf, Jordan Addison with Kyler, and then Stafford made it back. So I got Stafford at 116. Basically, kind of a half discount because I reached on Kyler, but did get the 3 quarterback build in Best Ball Mania with Caleb, Kyler, and Stafford all stacked up. And I took Jordan Mason as my RB4. I grabbed Isaiah Likely just because I have a ton of Dallas Goedert teams. But I also took Jalen McMillan, Trey Harris at 164, AJ Barner, Terrence Ferguson with the stack. I went with Jade Walker in the 17th. And then my RB5 was Demond Claiborne, also in Minnesota. So I don't usually do this, the double, the handcuff in a muddy situation. Not my most common recommendation, but for the price of Claiborne, he's extremely valuable, and I genuinely feel confident that Aaron Jones is probably going to get hurt. When that happens, he may not come back, but even if he will get healthy, it opens the door for somebody else to take over. So I do trust that Mason will be the guy at one point. I think he's the most consistent part of that backfield, but if he's terrible, it's because Demond Claiborne fucking steals his lunch bag. So I think that's a fair bet to make, but might have spent a little bit too much in Minnesota. Maybe just take one, not the other. But for a round 18, massive swing, Aaron Jones was comparing him to Jahmyr Gibbs yesterday. So I kind of butt in on the hype. I went double Minnesota. Not too bad. But let me catch up with the chat. Y'all are coming in. We got Scott in here. Good afternoon, brother. What's up, Nap God? Saw you in Fancy Roundups chat earlier today. That was fun. We were almost in a draft together. I think you just missed it, but maybe we can get you in today's lobby. Good to see you once again. Hartman, what's up? Excited to see you. Feels like this live should have started 1 hour later. We're going to be in the zone once we get an hour into it. I think I only have time for 2 and, some plans later this evening, so wanted to get it in while I could, and it's not the end of the world at 3:20, but maybe we'll have time for a third, and getting that extra hour does give me a little flexibility. So thank y'all for hopping in. What's up, Brett? Drafting a puppy or superflex today? I'll be honest, I'm not dying to enter the Frenchie 6. I didn't enter the Frenchie 3, and this one is not speaking to me that much. 11 to 12 advance. I'd prefer if it was cut down and there was more money distributed in the final than the way it is. So I'm not sure if we're going to do the Frenchie today. Maybe, but for $8, I'm not dying to do it. Yo, what's up, Jamie? How we doing? And then Keith, the big shooter, in here as well. All right, so I recapped this team with those 2 positions, but receiver pretty solid with Puka as the anchor. I was watching, and Davis has the flock tool on. The flock tool actually liked my draft for the most part. It gave me an A, and then once I got to AJ Barner, it was like round 15. It dropped me down to an A minus. Me and Jackson Duffy, who's also someone that watches the channel, member of the Blunt Rotation, possibly. No, I don't think so. I don't think he's a member, but definitely watches within our drafts recently. He was also in the lobby. The only other team that the flock setup ranked with an A. We both got A minuses. Everybody else was max B plus, including Maddock and Liam. So that one was fun. Just thought I'd bring it up at the top because I was excited to be in there. Almost didn't join, but said fuck it. And with Pook at 5, I was pretty happy. But we'll also bring up the fantasy roundup draft maybe later on, but I think we're going to hop into our first draft of the day. The field general is coming to a close. It's already 93.7% filled. It'll still remain open over the course of the weekend, but who knows? I think it's fair to get in while you can. I haven't done a ton of these. It's only a $3 buy-in, so if you're watching and you want to draft with me, definitely one of the good opportunities. I say let's do the field general. So Superflex, the delay is about 5 seconds. I'll give you a 10-second countdown, and we'll be drafting in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Filled pretty quickly. Which pick do we get? We get pick 9. I have not gotten many early round picks in these super flexes. I see Hartman in here. He got pick 4. I see young Phil is in here. He got pick 12. Maybe this lobby was already kind of close to filling. I'm not sure if I recognize Big Chip, but that's a fun name. And then I don't think I recognize too many other people. So if you are in here, let me know. Looks like Brett missed it. But Jamie, yeah, good to mention it now. On Sunday, one of the reasons I took yesterday off, I'm prepping for a 10-hour live stream to celebrate 10K subscribers. We're going to be live from noon Pacific to 10 p.m. Pacific. We have a bounty of guest appearances, and we're going to be starting the draft solo for the first hour and then bring in several guests that we have seen before. We're also introducing Steve Schaup. First appearance by Steve on the channel. And then one of our moderators, one of my first subscribers, I believe he was subscriber number 23. Perhaps it was like 27. I know he was in the top 30 for sure. Jonathan will also be making his first appearance, but otherwise we're having some recurring guests. We've got Angus McKay on the slate, Goofy Chicken Fantasy on the slate, Hartman, who's in this draft, is on the slate, Steve Schaup, Meg Schaup, Jamie Pirog, man behind the music, also been on the channel before, and then we got Jonathan, Jeery Football at 8 p.m., and then to close it out, we got Who Hames as well. Going to be a very, very fun time. And wish me luck. I'm trying to keep my voice intact. And, yo, Bayou, we're going to have to get you on. If the schedule allowed, I would love to have Bayou on as well. But some complications. I'll be honest with you, Bayou. I feel bad. I feel like I got very confused with some of the time changes shit. And I absolutely want to make it up to you, bro. I don't think I can do 12 hours, though. And it looks like, unfortunately, we may not fit Bayou on the slate. But if things change, we'll let you know. At the very least, I plan to have Bayou absolutely back on the channel. Very close to having Bayou in the 10-hour stream. Next time, we're not entering the Frenchie, only in that contest. But we'll get a softer room, potentially. We took Burrow here. Unstacked, but I think we can push for T. Higgins and be okay. Also like my chances at Chase Brown. Herbert off the board. I think I'm going to go T-Law. I think I'm going to go double quarterback. Feel pretty strong with Burrow, T-Law in Superflex. Should be a decently strong room. But what's up, first down? Holy shit. Goated. I want to make sure I deliver. You know, I've never done a stream longer than 5 hours. And so to go 10 might be tough, but we're going to have a bunch of guests to help carry me. And it's going to be a fun time. Very excited for Sunday. So I'll be honest, I might not be live tomorrow either. I really want to make sure the voice does not become fucked up. Especially managing how much weed I'm going to smoke. Factoring in speaking for 10 hours. Taking the break yesterday, I think, was justified. So I might not do a long stream tomorrow if we stream at all. But on Sunday, going to be a very fun afternoon. And yeah, gonna be lit. Really excited for that. Bat week gonna do another field general. Perhaps I'll here's what I'll do. I'll start a poll. What do you guys want for draft number 2? We can do a field general, but I like to type it Superflex. We can do a puppy, and then otherwise maybe a pointer. I don't think I want to do the Frenchie. If we do, it'll be the last draft of the evening if we get enough likes. But I think for number 2, we're in the Superflex right now. What do you guys want? I'm dropping the poll right now. Appreciate you, Scott. It's been a long time coming, but we are here, and I appreciate all the love. Couldn't have done it without the community. It means a lot. All right, on the clock. Not the best situation, but I think I'm just gonna build it out. Let's lock in Chase Brown. Maybe he doesn't make it on the turn. And I do have Joe Burrow. So I'll take Chase Brown. We'll get at least one Bengal. I like to start with some strong running back builds in this format, so not upset. Rankings, I definitely have Hampton above him, but I got a shit ton of Hampton. We're fine with it. If you were watching the Fantasy Roundup earlier, just before this, I was in that puppy to close out the stream, and I did pull up Hampton with Chase Brown. All right, I'm here. Can I push it is the question. I think I can push it. I'm not going to scoop up. But you know what? Bowers is still available. Pick 40. Fuck it. Let's go Bowers today. I don't have many Bowers teams, but I think in Superflex it makes a little bit more sense. The round 20 type of format, I can definitely afford it a little bit more. But good luck in the overflow, everyone. But Rudy says, bark, bark, wino love for the best shout. I didn't know, man. I will reach out to you. But sorry, I believe this is the first time you made a comment, Rudy. So appreciate you being a subscriber. I did not know. But we're moving through the family, I suppose. We had Meg last week, meeting Steve for the first time on Sunday. Shout me out on X. You can hop into my DMs if anyone is interested in a collab. Down the stretch in the summer, I might start to have to slim down on some of the collabs, but we will be all right. But I'm glad that all is good by you, and appreciate you for being flexible, and I'm sure we will revisit this very soon. Absolutely. We'll extend another invitation for sure. But Jamie, you're on in the afternoon. Bayou, with the 2-hour time change, has plans with his lovely wife in the afternoon, and I don't want to infringe on the couple's time. They got the kids with the grandparents. I'm gonna let Bayou have a good Sunday. But appreciate him trying to be flexible. Just didn't work out, unfortunately. We will make it happen for sure. But Jiri, absolutely, we are doing Superflex. Thank you for hopping in. Sunday will absolutely be a fun time, and thank you for being flexible, Jiri. You're coming in at 8 p.m. Pacific, and you preferred the morning, so I'm very grateful for the flexibility. Thank you very much. If anyone hasn't done so, subscribe to Bayou Bengal FN, subscribe to Jiri Football, both friends of the channel. Awesome live streams, worth your time. And I believe Jiri's going live in about a half hour, so definitely check him out. Absolutely worth a subscription. He's recently gone over 300 subscribers. He's climbing by the day. Deserves more. Get in before he cracks 1K so you know what subscriber you are. That is a badge of honor. Jiri, Bayou, Jamie, all no ball. Shout out IDP Center with Jamie Pirog. But we are back on the clock. Yeah, definitely worth it to pass on receiver, but that's kind of typical. Yikes. I mean, the Nico Collins price is pretty tempting, but running back could always fall off a cliff, and actually, nah, I don't think I can pass on it. Oh, fuck. I thought I had 2 seconds left. Did Did y'all see that there was still like 2 seconds on the timer when I clicked the button, and it did bring me Scatterboo. So my mistake using the Q, but I feel very compelled to scoop up running backs early in this, just because the format requires you to do so. The receiver position really gets deflated. They always fall. There's always good prices. Meanwhile, running back, I don't think Scatterboo is coming back. I don't think Montgomery's coming back. Montgomery at the top in terms of running backs. Swift there. Maybe I read the room incorrectly, but I did almost pivot to Nico. I just ran out of time. T. Higgins does go, so fuck. Willis not letting me have any fun. Maybe he's watching. Maybe he says, fuck you. Should have taken Nico, but all is okay. I'll finally get in at receiver, and I think I'm trusting Zay Flowers a little bit more than Malik Neighbors right now. So we get a bring back. We get the Bengals versus the Ravens. That game's going to be more likely a shootout than not. Unfortunately, it's on Thursday. That's the only thing I don't like about that game. Thursday night, week 17. Teams are usually a little bit more tired down the stretch. A Thursday night matchup, they're not going to be practicing very much. There could be some injury issues. I'm not the biggest fan of a Thursday night game that late in the season. Can always be weird sometimes. But you know what? You know what, Mike Rob? I don't know. Okay. This checks out. That makes sense. I've definitely heard Rudy. That's why Meg has the Jif, the peanut butter, to keep Rudy at bay. But Batwheat says sativa and you'll be good for 10 hours. Yeah, maybe I should make the pivot. I'm actually running low on the indica I've got, so maybe that's a smart call, Batwheat. Maybe we should go sativa. But in all honesty, I had no idea. I was a believer. But so I've heard Mike Rob can be a bit of a troll sometimes. I guess this is maybe the first time I've actually noticed. Maybe he's trolled me in the past and I just didn't know. But maybe I'm just gullible. I didn't fall for the tower raid when they tried to convince me Diggs went to the Commanders. But little did they know, that's not my most exciting landing spot. I want Diggs to the Raiders, baby. Sounds like there might be some rumors that Diggs to the Bills is on the table. Diggs, I think, is the most coveted free agent wide receiver left unsigned. So he is the last domino to fall. Definitely a piece worth taking. A lot of positive outs for a Stephon Diggs. But given I got sniped on T. Higgins, I didn't want to take him over Nico Collins. So given Willis is awesome, didn't want to let me have an awesome team, was never really in the cards apparently, then grabbing Cam Scatterboo and not getting sniped, getting a running back I like, I'm not too upset with it in hindsight. But here we are. This is why we take Cam Scatterboo, because running back is gross. Running back fell off a cliff. Meanwhile, receiver still fucking loaded. So I think I'm just going to take Egbuka at pick 81. Might have a tough matchup week 17 against Trent McDuffie. That could be problematic, but I'm willing to believe that the wide receiver one in Tampa is going to pay off. And you're telling me I'm taking Egbuka at pick 81 versus pick like 40 in a regular puppy? Like Egbuka versus Bowers or Egbuka versus Tua Tagovailoa. Much different argument. So I'm much happier with the Egbuka price in the Superflex formats. Feels way more exciting. And it's not like I've never left the Egbuka bandwagon. I've pumped the brakes a little bit since the draft. I thought maybe his price would fall. Maybe the Ted Hurst truthers would really deflate it. Maybe the Godwin price would start to even out. We're back on the clock here, and I'm not excited about what I'm gonna enjoy at running back on this team. I think running back could be a problem on this team down the stretch, but I'm gonna say fuck it, and I'm just gonna get my guy here. I'm gonna go BTJ because in the best case scenario, Brian Thomas Jr. might be more valuable than Malik Neighbors. You know, last year we drafted Brian Thomas Jr. with a top 12 pick. He was a first rounder at the 1-2 turn. So the true ceiling, we know, is way more valuable than this. So I have T-Law. I'm trying to build it out. We waited on receiver for a minute. I have Bowers, so that's kind of the reason why running back isn't great. To not have 4 receivers at this point or 3 quarterbacks with only 2 RBs, it's because you have someone like Bowers up top. So this will be a different team than what I'm typically building. I did end up passing on Mendoza for Zay, but we got the bring back, and I definitely wanted T. Higgins. Wide receiver in round 6. Made more sense to me. So I've made some interesting picks in this one. The Scattaboo reach was also kind of interesting, but I'm not upset with this team at all. It's all right. I'd prefer it if we had T. Higgins instead of Zay Flowers, though. Brett Nichols coming in with the gifted Memby. Shout out Smokers Haven FF receiving the gift membership. Congrats on that, and appreciate you, Brett, for supporting the channel with a gifted membership. You are a member yourself, so sending out another one. You're a real one. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jackson Duffy, any thoughts on the new Frenchie tournament? I'm not a big fan. I'd rather invest. To max that contest, you got to spend $24. $8 per entry. You only have 3 cracks at it, which means you can get unlucky and just get a bad pick and end up making a bad selection, in the first 2 rounds. It's possible that the luck of which spot you're going to get plays a factor. Now, some people like it when it's only 3 entry max. You can kind of decide your own fate. You can get a little weird and just kind of stick to your rankings. But I'm not as excited about that contest, to be honest with you. But here I am on the clock. I'm going to go Kenneth Gainwell, the ability to be the RB1 in Tampa. Now, I do not have Baker. I have T-Law. So this team might be better with Baker, but I noticed that the Baker drafter is on this side of the board. Willis Austin sniped me on T. Higgins. So I sniped him in retaliation on Igbuka. Nice little fuck you in return. And then a double fuck you with Kenneth Gainwell. We're getting a little bitter about the T. Higgins snipe. And honestly, I think it's just the right pick. But leaning in Superflex, the running backs are more valuable. Lemon, not that exciting. Alec Pierce, some injury concern, could be a problematic pick. So not in love with those receivers. Still think whoever's coming back to me is going to be a fine one. So this is a fine spot in the draft to get a little different, get ahead at a position of weakness. He goes Jonathan Brooks. I was hopeful he'd make it back, but it's possible Blake Corum's still here. I'll take a Blake Corum at 112. Not hating on that. He does not make it back to me, though. So glad to just get the running back I like the most there. Lock it up. Move on. I have Bowers, so tight end is not exciting. Aaron Jones makes sense, but Rashad White, I trust to stay on the field. I'm going to go Rashad White. Bet on that Jaden Daniels, Arizona State, college chemistry. Rashad White took a little pay cut, most likely to go to Washington. Now, maybe nobody wanted him, and $2 million is really the best offer, but I'm not really a believer in that. I think Rashad just really wanted to be a teammate of Jaden Daniels again. A running back room that has a lot of opportunity. I don't believe in JCM keeping him off the field. I don't believe that's a job he's not going to hold on to. He's by far the best pass protector in the room, and that's going to keep him on the field. Maybe not the go-to goal line production. Maybe Katron steals that from him. Maybe JCM does develop enough in year 2 to keep him off the field, but I'm not a believer in that. I think Rashad White is the most talented running back in Washington, and we're getting the RB4 on this team with Rashad White. I think a good click here because we'll see who's there at 129. The next available running back for me to draft is nothing compared to Rashad White. Maybe you believe in JCM, maybe he falls, but that's not how I play Washington. I don't think so. But Brett saying getting some Blue Dreams tastes great, but don't fuck you up. Yeah, Blue Dream is a pretty consistent strain to bet on. Not my favorite, but definitely never a bad experience. It is not the strongest, but it does the job. I heard Diggs to the Ravens too. Yeah, there's a lot of landing spots for Diggs. The Ravens would be fun. I think the Ravens would be a little bit more interesting with Debo, to be honest. I think it'd be really fun to see a Debo, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson lined up in the backfield on some weird trick plays. That would be a nightmare to cover. Imagine being the linebacker that has to decide which player you're committing to stopping if Debo's also in the backfield alongside Henry and Lamar. I think Debo to the Ravens would be preferred. I think Diggs going there wouldn't be bad at all. It definitely makes some sense because they have to replace Isaiah Likely somehow, and who knows, maybe the rookie receivers are not going to do that. But Michael Penix circled back. Kind of an interesting bet. Had I taken Pitts, I might have taken him, but I'm going to go Jacoby Myers, and we'll see what happens. The Chris Rodriguez selection could have made some sense. Also pairs up with T-Law, so maybe that was the move. But I'm going to build it out with another Jacksonville receiver. They paid Jacoby Myers a pretty significant contract. Also traded for him, so I do think there's a pretty solid role for him. Maybe the least exciting Jaguar, but does stack up, and at pick 129... a pretty solid value when you already have Trevor Lawrence. I'm trying to build it out, trusting that T-Law and Burrow were correct, but I don't have the receiver stacked up with Burrow. I got the double stack with Trevor Lawrence. But Penix goes at 131, Shador at 132. Hippie weed, I call it. That's the Blue Dream. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Not my favorite, but C-Rod does make it back. Do I just fully commit? I have Bowers, so I don't need a tight end here. The receivers are not as exciting. And then C-Rod just might be fully healthy. You know, like a June foot injury, not the best. You know, he could be the next Joe Mixon, but he's also falling, and we were definitely steaming him up. For him to move from like the Kenneth Gainwell price down to the Tyrone Tracy price, it's a little worrisome, but as RB5 also correlating with Jacksonville, it makes some sense. He's not a pass catcher, though. The stack is kind of irrelevant. So who the fuck knows? But C-Rod at 136, I don't think he'll be there at 153. And his true ceiling definitely could be just as valuable as someone like Dobbins. What's up, Hallie Line? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for popping in. We got Pepper Tony. Stop hating on Zay. I'm unliking. Look, Zay is fine, but I had Joe Burrow. Grabbing T. Higgins made some sense. But appreciate you, Brett. Thank you very much. Bat with a retracted message. Pepper Tony, you can win from any draft position. Simply pick the right players. Absolutely. You can disregard ADP if you just believe you're drafting the right guy. If you are, then, you know, take him wherever you want. Thank you, Brett. Jerry with a question. Would I rather smoke with John Harbaugh or Mike McDaniel? I think you're asking Jim Harbaugh, because John Harbaugh is the Giants coach. If I was guessing, I'm not interested in John Harbaugh. But Jim Harbaugh versus Mike McDaniel, very interesting question. The thing about Mike McDaniel, I feel like he's a little awkward. Yes, Jim for sure. I feel like Mike McDaniel, there's going to be some jokes that he says that just fucking crack you up. And then there's going to be some jokes that just like are a little bit awkward, because he's kind of awkward. But Cousins circles back. I have Bowers, so that's why I passed on Michael Penix. I was a little bit more interested in taking Cousins as my QB3 if I was grabbing a backup. So I'll take Kirko Chains here at pick 153. Nice 8-pick discount. Might have made it back to me, but Gavin CS wasn't convinced was going to pass. So with Bowers, let's just lock it up. Let's get him while we can. But I think I'm going to go Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to be a little bit more lively and kind of maybe bounce off of my personality a little bit more. I think there's a chance. Not that I wouldn't enjoy the Mike McDaniel presence. I just think the way that Jim Harbaugh steams up his quarterbacks, I think it'd be awesome. Also, I love to eat a ribeye steak. I would love to have a ribeye steak with Jim Harbaugh and a tall glass of milk. I'm thinking I just double down and go Travis Hunter, but Brenton Strange also pretty solid. I think if I didn't have Jacoby, I would go Travis Hunter here, but I'm going to bet on Brenton Strange. He's going to be on the field. There isn't another tight end I really believe will threaten him. I know they drafted a tight end this year, but I believe Strange is a very good pick. So, yeah, Jerry, the variable that Mike McDaniel could just go full nonverbal, I think is why I'm going to go Harbaugh. I tuned into the Mike McDaniel Dan Soder podcast the other day, and I'm not going to lie, I was not able to sit through much of it. I was actually a little bored. I was actually like, apparently those two guys know each other from like when they were kids. So like to them it meant something, but I was not really excited enough to sit through some of the awkwardness to sit through the whole thing. So I think I'd have a little bit more fun personally with Jim Harbaugh, but I think not to take anything away from Mike McDaniel, but that's where my gut is leaning. I'd rather smoke a J, eat a steak with Jim Harbaugh than do bong rips with Mike McDaniel and watch him go nonverbal. But Rock says you got to see McDaniels on the Dan Soder podcast. I liked it. I did not have like enough of an attention span to stick with it for more than like 5 minutes. So maybe I'll give it another chance. I was like, oh, this looks interesting, but I don't listen to that many podcasts in the first place, and I just didn't have the patience. But both Harbaughs are narcs. I don't know, man. I think we can bring some shrooms, and I think I think we can expand on thoughts of the gloriousness of the day, the enthusiasm. I think will still be there, but is it that much of a shocker, Pepper Tony? It's probably not. But Hallie is also going Harbaugh. Pepper Tony says Mike McDaniel by a million billion, though. Look, I think they're both good times, but I understand your side of the argument, Pepper Tony, as well. There's a chance it gets corny fast with Jim Harbaugh, but Harbaugh is a SoCal guy. I think we would have some things in common. But I'm going to go Jalen McMillan here. I think the most talented receiver, least likely to make it back. I do have Igbuka, but if there's a week where Igbuka doesn't hit, I think it's because McMillan is really popping off. So I don't mind the double Tampa Bay wideout, even without Baker. I'm just kind of really... Honestly, I forgot, but at this point, I'm just giving a massive middle finger to Team 11 with Baker. He doesn't have a single stacking partner yet, and it's because of me. Sorry about that. But I am back on the clock. My gut says Trey Harris here. That's where the gut is pointing. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Trey Harris, and then I'm going to stop now at receiver. Flowers, Igbuka, BTJ, betting on the breakout. Also stacking up Jacoby Myers in Jacksonville. Jalen McMillan, Trey Harris. I can always stop at 6 in Superflex, so I'm fine with that. Running back has Chase Brown, Cam Scatterboot, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad White, Chris Rodriguez. As long as Scatterboot doesn't just really flop, then I think this team is viable enough to make it work. I've got a lot of Tampa Bay Bucks on this team, several Jaguars on this team. the Bowers Kirk Cousins combo, the Burrow Chase Brown combo, and then T Law mega stacked. Brenton Strange tight end too. The team is solid. The team is pretty solid. And I don't have much Bowers. I think this is the contest I'm more excited to take Bowers in the first place. But Batwheat would like to smoke with Marshawn Lynch. Not a bad pull. Brett Nichols likes Purple Urkel, one of my favorite all-time strains. Jiri says, Harbaugh, you might get more giggles with. Could see McDaniel get into deep convo or the other way around. I feel like with McDaniel, you can talk about very niche stuff, and it will get very thoughtful, and I don't think it's going to be a bad time at all. But I think with Harbaugh, once he mellows out, I think you can get into some really like deep wisdom on like the universe and just like I respect the elders sometimes, and I'm pretty sure Jim Harbaugh has smoked weed at some point in his life. I know Mike McDaniel has smoked weed, but I'm willing to take the wisdom nuggets from Jim Harbaugh just a little bit more willingly. Jim Harbaugh has actually won a championship, but check out the Canon Bible if you ever have time. Jason King, an awesome grower and author. I'll try and check that out. Thank you for the recommendation. All right, I could go pulling up a running back. That's not the best. Fuck it. I'm going to take Mac Jones today. Completely unstacked. Probably a dumbass fucking move. But I'll tell you this. When I look at the Niners' schedule, I feel very concerned about their ability to stay healthy. And I'm kind of running out of time on that one. So that one, not the best click, but with Cousins probably going to lose his job at one point, maybe Mac Jones will be a starter. And I genuinely think the odds that Brock Purdy gets hurt again, misses time, is legitimately high. I'm sure there was a trade market for Mac Jones. I'm sure the Niners had some callers, had some offers, but I genuinely think they're well aware that they wouldn't have made the playoffs last year without Mac Jones, and Purdy is kind of injury prone. They need a competent, good backup quarterback like Mac Jones. So I think he'll get some starts this year. I genuinely believe it, and that's where I think he's a solid pick. But this is round 18, not the best spot. I think I'm going to go James Conner and pray that he gets cut, gets released, and signs with someone and has a solid role. I think there's some legitimately high ceiling outcomes if that happens for Conner. I think he's the most talented remaining running back on the board, and maybe some rookies are worth betting on ahead of him, but I do believe Conner can get on the field and have a good goal line role. Also catches a lot of receptions. Yeah, this was kind of the tipping point for me, Jiri. I think McDaniel has a little bit more swag, but from just a raw, sheer experience standpoint, I think I might be able to get some more valuable wisdom nuggets from the conversation. If I can only talk to Jim Harbaugh once, I think it might be a more valuable conversation. But who knows? Maybe the Mike McDaniel time would be better. What's up, Disbanded? Thank you for popping in with the dot. Sending you some good vibes as well. Do I believe in the Anunnaki? I don't know, bro. Fun to look into conspiracies. Good to expand your imagination, because nobody really knows what the fuck happened, 10,000, let alone, the Earth is what? 4 billion years old or some shit? Something like that. The Earth is extremely, extremely ancient. Nobody really knows. So if you want to look into some theories and entertain the thought, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But ultimately, believing in one thing over another that doesn't have much basis in like empirical evidence, it's a fun thought experiment. But I don't really know what to believe, man. So sure, why not? Back on the clock. Fuck, running back is kind of getting thin. I kind of want to go LaQuint Allen just for... Nah, I'm going to do Samaje Perine. Fuck it. Let's get the Bengals backfield here. Because right now there's really no effing competition. And what if Chase Brown gets me there and then gets hurt? What if we actually need the backup in Cincinnati for 1 week? It's round 19. Might be a wasted click, but running out of time, fuck it. Not my favorite selection in hindsight, though. I could go tight end here. That probably feels a little bit more valuable than receiver. Not the most exciting decisions. I have Bowers. I have Brenton Strange. It's not critical, but I think I like my receiver room enough, and then none of the receivers are that good down here. But I could see mixing in a Christian Kirk help out. You know what? I'm going to trust Bowers. I'm not going to overload. Let's go with a 4-7-7-2. Let's go Christian Kirk. I've been meaning to mix him in closer to like a 5% rate. Could have gone Jack Betch, but felt a little unwise. Let's assume that those Niners deal with injuries. Like I was saying, the schedule plus the substation. They have 2 international games. Wouldn't be shocked if the Niners got hurt. Once again, that's kind of a consistent bet to make. So we'll go with Mac Jones and Christian Kirk. Pepper Tony thinks it's more likely Harbaugh has not smoked weed than he has. He coached. I mean, I guess he played in the NFL, played a lot of football. He might be pretty straight edge. That could be interesting. But if that's true, then it's going to be even more interesting to get him high for the first time, I would argue. But here's the thing. I spent a year at the University of San Diego. Jim Harbaugh coached football at the University of San Diego. This is where I think I might have some shit in common a bit more with Jim Harbaugh. That's just a little nugget about my past, you know, the USD connection. And once you spend a lot of time in San Diego and in Southern California, I think weed's going to cross your path, but it's possible. Yo, that's a wild statement, Brett. I think that's more likely a distraction than anything else. Bat wheat. The world is ancient, and the hamburger wasn't invented until 1885. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, who can argue with this logic, right? Isn't this just a lock to be correct? That tracks. Got to be correct. Sorry. So let's take a look at this team. We got a 4-7-7-2. We got Burrow, T-Lock, Cousins, and Mac Jones. Could be a little better in terms of the stacking partners, but Burrow with Chase Brown, that can work. T-Law, mega stack, and then Cousins with Bowers. Not upset. Mac Jones unstacked, however, but scratch that. We did get Christian Kirk. Right, we justified the Mac Jones selection with Christian Kirk. The Mac Jones backstack, if you will. Chase Brown, Scatterboot, Gainwell, Rashad, Rodriguez, James Conner, and Samaje Perine. Might be a little overkill with these 2 veterans, but who knows? Maybe they're the pieces you need. However, the double Cincinnati might not be the best. Samaje, kind of the only pick I'm not too proud of, but Zay Flowers, Egbuka, BTJ, Jacoby Myers, Jalen McMillan, Trey Harris, and Christian Kirk. Not bad. Brett likes the Kirk pick. It's more exciting in round 20 than it is in round 18. That's for sure. But Bowers and Brenton Strange can definitely get away with that. Might have liked the 3rd tight end instead of Samaje Perine, in all honesty. But I think we can get away with it. I think we're going to be fine. Not bad. Let's take a look at Hartman's team. He was drafting with us, DMH09. Also going to be joining us on the 10-hour stream on Sunday. But Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers can definitely work out with that. I sniped you on Mac Jones and also sniped you on Christian Kirk. Maybe you were mad about that, Hartman. Probably not. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, Kyron Williams, Bucky Irving, Damon Claiborne, and Najee Harris. The hype on Claiborne is interesting. You pull him up to 213. You know who I was kind of expecting to be available when I took James Conner? Damon Claiborne. And when I didn't see him, I kind of panicked a little bit. Just put someone in the queue. So a good click. Glad to hear you're high on him. reaching on him by almost 20 spots is legit. We got Najee Harris in here as well. Who knows? Maybe Najee still signed somewhere. I'm not taking him, however. DJ Moore on this one at 93. Marvin Harrison. Chris Godwin at 124. Romeo Dobbs. Stephon Diggs. Rashid Shaheed. Jeremy Bernard and Dontavian Wicks. So kind of an uncorrelated receiver room in this one. Really no one that stacks up at wideout. Only stacks are Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, and Pat Freiermuth. So all three tight ends, but Jeremy Bernard is stacked up as well. I almost forgot about Jeremy. So this is the contest where maybe stacking isn't as critical, but I still think it's relevant. Still like to see it a little bit. And at least you have the tight end room paired up. But running back room feels pretty strong. No issue with that. I've noticed, Hartman, that you take Bucky a decent amount. I'm definitely going to ask you about your Bucky Irving stance on Sunday. So pretty solid team. Like the approach at running back for sure. Quarterback feels very balanced. Receiver, maybe not my favorite clicks in the world at times, but most of them I really like. I do respect it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But ship my bread. What drafted this? This is the Field General, the Superflex contest. And according to the poll results, we are currently trending towards Superflex. It's leading the poll 42 to 38. 21% of y'all, that's about 4 people, did choose the pointer. So at the moment, looks like the Superflex draft is the direction we'll go in. We'll review a couple more teams and then make our decision. So if you want to sway this in favor of the puppy, you got to vote in the poll right now. I'll give it another minute or so before we finalize that. But in this draft, we also noticed Young Phil. Young Phil was the only other drafter, if I'm not mistaken, in here. Unless someone let me know and I just missed it. I don't think so. No, that's not Team 10. That's just Batwheat saying 10 hours. Okay, yeah, I think that's everyone in this lobby. If you're not, please shout it out if I didn't mention it, but I'm only expecting to review Young Phil, and then we can move on. So Young Phil had pick 12. Not a bad spot to be in Superflex, but I prefer it when you double tap quarterback. That is not what Young Phil did. If I'm not mistaken, he went wide out with Puka JSN. So this will be interesting. He has Darnold stacked up, Geno Smith and Shador. Not the strongest quarterback room. Not going to lie, I do not envy this at all. Sam Darnold last year averaged only 13 fantasy points per game. That's kind of dog shit. So he can spike once or twice, maybe 4 or 5 times, but that's kind of it. And losing Clint Kubiak as my QB1, I do not feel good about that. So not going to lie, I'm not envious of your quarterback room at all. I think starting off Darnold, I would have liked maybe even 5, but at least 4, because Geno and Shador ain't trusting them for jack shit. So this is not a quarterback room I'm envious of. The rest of the lobby, the rest of the room better be fucking loaded to compensate. So I'll be honest, so far starting off a little risky, but Achane, Chuba, Kyle Monangai, Tyler Algier, Isaiah Pacheco, Bigsby, Kimani Vidal, and Justin Hill. The running back room is not good enough to justify those quarterbacks. So this is not that great. Puka, JSN, Olave, JMO, Pearson, Pat Bryant spent a lot on receiver early, and it shows. And then Ferguson, AJ Barner, David Njoku. Yeah, I think there's too much spent at wide receiver, like by a mile. Way too much at receiver. Like, if you're going to start Puka JSN, all the power to you, but I'm definitely not grabbing Chris Olave in the next turn. You took Darnold, but passed on, like, Malik Willis. I would have just grabbed Malik Willis. Maybe even just stacked up Malik with Achane, but you do stack up JSN at least. Yeah, I wouldn't have taken Olave there. I would have grabbed Aaron Rodgers. Personally, I feel like Aaron Rodgers would have made the team look better because quarterback just looks gross. No other way to say it. Quarterback feels disgusting. And then you kind of got boxed out at running back. Like, to draft this many handcuffs, you are feeling the pressure, bro. To go Algier, Pacheco, Bigsby, Vidal, and Justice Hill. Can't feel too good. Maybe everyone gets hurt and you just thread the needle, but I don't think this is how I want to build out a Superflex lobby. Maybe it works, bro, but good luck to you. I think you're going to need it. Not envious of the whiteout start at pick 12. Okay, that's my honest opinion. Who the fuck knows? Good luck to everyone in that draft. So the poll results have come in, and Puppy has overtaken Superflex. Looks like every vote basically came in for Puppy, so that is the vibe. We will pivot to the Puppy. I will give y'all a countdown. Gonna assure y'all I give you a countdown. Also gonna give you a moment to get it set up, whether it's on your phone or your computer. And in the meantime, I'm gonna bring in the music. I'm also gonna give you a very quick promo for our sponsor, our partner, Underdog Fantasy. In case you want to join this lobby and you haven't ever signed up, you probably won't have the time to sign up and join this lobby, but you'll be available for the next one or any draft after that, and you will also get $50 in bonus funds. New customers, promo code BLUNT gets you $50 after you play your first 5. So one Puppy draft, you get another 10 of them for free, or you could just draft Best Ball Mania twice for free as well with promo code BLUNT. Link is in the description. Head over there if you're interested. All right, I'll give you a countdown. We're hopping in the Puppy in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And insta-fill. I hope you entered when we hit like 8 or 7 on the countdown. That's the sweet spot. The delay on these live stream is typically about 5-6 seconds. And if you want to ensure you are really syncing up as close as possible, I recommend hitting the button around 8, 7, or 6 on the countdown. Most of the time, that's the way to get it done. I feel like it's better for you to enter the lobby just before I do rather than after I do. That is how I have noticed I can join other people that are streaming lobbies. If I want to join a stream draft, that's what I do. I typically give it about 7-ish seconds on the countdown. Brett says it's the best value you will get, Bucky, since it's almost full. Right, that's definitely fair, especially as the contest's almost going to close. That's for sure. Would have voted Puppy over Pointer if I knew how close it was. No worries, John Tara. We did end up coming back. The Pointer, not today, but the Puppy did overtake Superflex. Went unorthodox with this one. Good luck, Large Sneaks. Definitely unorthodox. It's worth mixing in, but if I'm going to take Puka, I'm not going to double up with JSN. I think getting the anchor wideout is a viable, advantageous strategy, but I think passing on quarterback at the turn for JSN wide receiver 2, the opportunity cost a little too expensive for my liking. Brett says lots of time for the Puppy. Field General going to be gone soon. Yeah, that was where my logic was, then starting with the Field General, at least get one of them in today. But I have to stay true to the poll. Some people just don't have the experience in the Field General to want to risk their money. But for $3, it's also a little bit more exciting to win $100K off of $3 as opposed to 5. But 3 versus 5, not that much different. People know how their strategy in this contest a bit more. I think the familiarity plays a factor. But Hartman would have stacked more, but the snipers were out. Yeah, very fair. It can be tough. I got sniped on T. Higgins. That's an example. But I hope Ship My Bread is in this one. If you are, let me know which spot you have. Unfortunately, he did miss again. He joined at like 9 seconds. That's crazy. That's wild. All right. I have pick 7. And this is actually where I think JSN should be going. So I'm going to take JSN today. I don't take him very often. I'm actually the least exposed to JSN among all round 1 selections. At pick 5 is where I start to get different. And I think JSN is fine if you rank him as the wide receiver 3. But personally, I have Amon-Ra ranked above him. I'm tempted to even put Justin Jefferson above him. However, knowing that running back can just be so dry, by the time you hit pick 18, if the run has happened, you are never getting one that you like in the second round. Beyond that point, I feel much better taking JSN at pick 7 than I do at pick 5. So I will do that. I'm not convinced he will outscore Amon-Ra or even Justin Jefferson, maybe not even CeeDee Lamb. I think there's an argument that JSN is more like wide receiver 6 than wide receiver 3. So that's why he's my least drafted player. I'll increase my exposure today. At pick 7, I will happily take JSN just to mix him in, but not convinced he is worth pick 5. That's for sure. Pick 5, not my favorite spot to be in. All right, back on the clock, and Chase Brown, like I mentioned, the last remaining running back. So going Chase Brown again, back-to-back drafts. I have selected Chase Brown, and I'll take it. That's why I don't like JSN at pick 5. You're not getting even Chase Brown at pick 20 most of the time. Mike Rob loves Superflex. Unfortunately, we're in a puppy right now, but yeah, the puppies feel kind of fast. There's so many entries, but for $5 a pop, wouldn't be shocked if there's like 4 puppies, maybe even 5 this summer. Wouldn't be shocked at all if they drop one every month. Jackson said, I have more drafts with Kale, trying to get into other drafts than with anyone else. Kale Elliott in here. Welcome, Kale. I've seen you on many other streamers' lobbies, so thank you for joining us today. I think you've drafted with us a few times, but thank you for hopping in on this one. I don't recognize Is That Creed, who went James Cook, Kenneth Walker, nor do I recognize Dirty One without a badge. Eliminator 515 might have drafted with you before. I think I recognize Peso. I think Peso might be watching. Phil Graves right next to me took Taylor over JSN at pick 6. I think we might have drafted before. Not sure about Yogi, but Red Hook 22 went Puka Bowers. That's kind of the best case scenario. Out of the 4 slot, in my opinion, it can be tough. Jackson Duffy in here at 103 went Jamar Chase and pulled up Devontae Smith. Haven't seen Devontae at pick 22, so that's kind of interesting. But the turn dynamics always play a factor, getting your preferred receiver. Not upset with that. You'll still get a running back that you like if you want, and then you can also just get unique with another third-round pick. The 2-3 turn, I don't think is very set in stone, that it's that accurate either. Like, I'm not convinced that the ADP at the 2-3 turn is totally correct. But let's see where you go here. You go Travis. So yeah, a pair of round 3 selections. At this point in time, there aren't that many teams with both Devontae and Travis. So don't hate it. Personally, I would have gone Nico over Devontae, but I don't hate it. It's not that bad. Also, that side of the board, it's pretty easy to get Jalen Hurts stacked up, so not bad at all. I respect it, Jackson. Super Beast, Keith went Bijan, Pickens, and Nico. Very strong receiver room. No issue with that. And then Monster Joe's at the 101 started Gibbs, Jeremiah Love, and Chris Olave. All right, fun draft. Not excited to go McBride here, but I might consider it. It's a team with JSN, so already not a team I have a lot of exposure to, so could be even more unique if I go McBride, but I don't think so. I'm not convinced that McBride is more valuable than Colston Loveland, and sometimes I still pass on Loveland in the 4th, so I don't think so today. I don't want the Arizona bad juju. I'm going to go Chase Brown and T. Higgins, and this is pretty obvious. I'm probably going to try and rectify missing out on the Burrow stack like I did in the Superflex draft. I'm probably going to take Burrow at 66. More likely than not. That's the whole point. Let me catch up with the chat. I'm kind of far behind, so your phone took too long. That's weird. The phone usually works very well. Breck at the 102, though. That's not a bad consolation prize. Batwheat missed this puppy. We'll have to hit enter when you say 7 next time. Hopefully you'll be drafting again after this one. The only problem is now I tell everyone. Now everyone knows the little secret to enter at pick 7. But that's why sometimes I switch up the tempo. Sometimes I'll give it a very quick countdown. Sometimes I'll take my time, and the seconds will be a little drawn out. Sometimes I even say it in French, just to throw y'all off, because we draft with a lot of names consistently. Today, though, no one in the first lobby is in the second, so that's good. I'm happy with that. But I could go Josh Jacobs. I suppose I could go Josh Jacobs. But how about not? I'm going to go Colston Loveland today. Not taking a ton of him, but the camp reports are that they're expanding his route tree. Going to be even more involved this year than he was last year. And down the stretch, I believe he was close to like a 25-30% target share down the stretch. So expecting a very good year 2 out of Colston Loveland. They did draft Luther Burden last year, but they also took him in the second round. They took Colston Loveland at the 10th overall pick when they already paid Cole Kmet a top 5 contract. So they believe in Colston Loveland, definitely a stud. I want to take Loveland more than I want to take Burden, so I'll take him here. Best Ball Cabal, Brock Bowers round 2 for the W. Not bad at all. Jackson says crazy JSN hate. He's fine, bro, but I just think he's in the same tier as Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, and Jefferson. He goes in the same tier as Jamar Chase and Puka. I see him in the next tier, not the top tier. So that's my stance. I'm willing to be a little different than everyone else, but I still think he's worth a first rounder. I'm not willing to say he needs to be going in the second. I'm not slandering him that bad, but I think structurally playing the board in a 12-team league on Underdog, I want a running back in the first 2 rounds. You're not going to get it taking JSN at pick 5 most of the time. Best Ball Cabal. I saw an avatar last night that had a question mark on it. Then it disappeared the next draft. That's interesting. It wasn't a dog picture. I've never seen that before. Appreciate you, Fancy Dog. Number 25 like. Thank you very much. If y'all are inclined, if you're enjoying the stream, do me a favor, hit that like button down below and subscribe if you're enjoying. We're going to go live for 10 hours on Sunday at noon Pacific to celebrate 10K subscribers. Going to have a very fun time on Sunday. A jam-packed, loaded string of guests. That's going to be lit. I can't wait, but I'm also a little worried that I get loopy before we're even entering the seventh hour. There's a chance I get a bit loopy. Not gonna lie. Yeah, Kale, you are everywhere. No wonder you got the silver badge. No surprise at all on that. But Travion circles back. Love that. Travion in the 5th all day long. I've noticed him falling kind of consistently. If y'all want to bet on Ramondre in year 2, go ahead. But last year, Travion moved up to the 4th round, if not the 3-4 turn by the end of the summer. Watch the preseason again. Like, his speed is just so effing valuable in this format. I love Trayvon Henderson. All the reports are that he just only focused on pass protection skills in, the offseason. I really don't see a reason to be fading Travion. His upside is just so conducive to be elite in best ball. If Ramondre gets hurt, definitely going to pop. If Ramondre starts to fumble again, I don't think the leash is going to be as long, so to speak. Not that Ramondre's on a leash, just, he can have a shorter runway, less forgiveness if he starts to fumble again. I genuinely think that Travion will inevitably, guaranteed, take over Ramondre at some point. So I'm going to bet on that happening. I might get sniped here. If that happens, it's the wrong move, but they take Drake May. I'm going to go Burrow. Of course I'm taking Joe Burrow. Not going to let the Jamar Chase drafter have 2 cracks at it. He's definitely not passing at 75 if he passes at 70. And honestly, if he passes at 75, there's going to be one of these other teams that says, fuck it. That's a really good price on Burrow. Why not just take him? So 66, the latest I'm willing to wait on Burrow. That's where he goes. It's the right move. I have Chase Brown and T. Higgins. It's the right move. What up, Green Bean? How we doing? Good to see ya. Trioth is saying going Nico there negates pulling Devontae up, though. Definitely negates it, but Nico wasn't even available at pick 27. Where is Zero? 2 days in a row. He is MIA. No wonder the chat is reasonably paced. I'm still behind though. I'm still fucking way far behind. So I gotta go faster. But yo, thank you, Kale, for entering the blunt rotation. Really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Vegas. No, Vegeta Super. I read this as Vegas. Says, stay away from the Bears, number one hardest schedule in the league. They didn't have a single 1,000-yard receiver last year. Caleb, 1/5 of the passes were inaccurate. Same in 2024. Bears receiver are no bueno this year, where I at least took a tight end. I think Loveland is the most valuable pass catcher in Chicago. So to an extent, I kind of agree with you. I think the Roma Dunze price in the 5th is pretty solid, though. But the Luther Burden click is not one I make too often. Not going to lie. But I'm happy with Loveland at his price. I don't think you need to stack up Caleb when you take Loveland, though. I think I'd rather have an unstacked Colston Loveland than forcing the Caleb Williams selection with like Luther Burden in the early 4th. But 2-3 turn is tricky. Got to get lucky. You can definitely get a little bit different at the 2-3 turn. I don't mind it at all. But Brett Nichols, we swarm his rooms and suck up the EV. If this is in here, honestly, I still feel like I got a good shot half the time at advancing in these lobbies. I'm not totally convinced that my teams are dead, despite being in some packed lobbies. But I also do some weird shit sometimes. Might be the reason. Maybe I just got some weird stances. But what's up, Emo Cowboy? Thank you for hopping in. If anyone hasn't done so, check out the Toxic Tower. I know Emo Cowboy has a bunch of different channels. I believe the Fantasy Sanctuary. Apologies if I'm wrong on that, but definitely check out Toxic Tower. Absolutely worth your time. We're back on the clock here. Tony Pollard speaks to me, but I have Jalen Warren on the thumbnail today. Might be one of my first clicks of Warren on the stream in forever. Nope, get sniped. Not gonna happen. I'm not upset with that at all. I would much rather take Tony Pollard here, to be honest with you. So I'll do it. Running back can really thin out moving forward, and although I like Rico, if Pollard's still available, I go Pollard over Rico. Question mark was to the upper right of the dog's head inside the circle. Non-badge, so I assumed it was his very first draft. I have no idea. I have no idea what that stands for, in all honesty. Maybe we should try and get the cadence down. Maybe that's something we can totally work on. It could be better. It could definitely be better. No badge drafters are so weak. Don't take any of them seriously. I disagree with this, Brett. The badgeless sometimes can shock you. I would say Jackson Duffy in here at the 103, who is also a badgeless, knows what he's doing. I don't think the badges are always indicative of who the best drafters are. Now, is someone more likely to get crazy without a badge? A little bit more, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes I'll be the crazy guy pulling up Hampton in round 1, taking Genty at pick 5. I'll get weird as well. You know, weird shit happens all the time. John Gruden asking Adam to do his camp. Yeah, the quarterback camp. It'd be interesting, but at least I'm not giving y'all just a clap like Jackson Dart. Best ball, what do you mean? Don't you just have to Google it to see if I'm wrong? There was 1,000 yard last. It's not hard to research it. Not sure what y'all are. Oh, y'all are talking between yourselves. My bad. Okay, I'm back on the clock. Here's the thing. I really like Patrick Mahomes in this round. However, I kind of need some receiver depth. I'm going to go Godwin here. I'll take Chris Godwin. I think he's a fine click. I got a lot of Addison, a little bit more than Godwin right now. So don't ever draft Josh McDaniels backfields. Right, the Patriots backfield has always been a headache. That could be a fair point. Somehow just got a Jefferson Cook start at the 1-2 turn. That's not the most shocking thing, but not bad. Definitely a solid start for sure. Am I doing another draft? Let's see. It's 4:30 right now. We have 40 likes, 29. We have 29 likes, 40 watchers. You know what? Yeah. I think if we get to 30 7 likes. I'm going to request 37 likes. 8 of y'all watching can hit the like button, and we will enter another lobby. How about that? But appreciate you, Kale, once again. You must be young. You don't have a million to bet. Y'all are going at it. Y'all are... All right, I'll let you argue amongst yourself. Chicago is the Windy City. It's the hardest stadium to throw in. That's a fair point. Maybe Jared Goff might not be the quarterback to bet on in the Windy City, Week 17. That's what that comment makes me think of. But appreciate you, Emo. Thank you for hopping in. The Bears have a hard schedule, but I still think betting on Ben Johnson is worth it. But last year they had a 4th place schedule. Moving to a 1st place schedule can be a problem sometimes. It can be a big deal. Also, Caleb is on the Madden cover. Is anyone worried about the Madden curse, or are we just like applying that to Soldier Field? You know, is there any aspect of that drama that we want to buy into? I don't think so. But Caleb on the Madden cover, I already kind of feel like he's a little overpriced in the 6th round, to be honest. I actually have Justin Herbert ranked above Caleb Williams, to be completely honest with you. So that's the price where maybe it's not worth it. But if there is one Chicago Bear I like drafting, it's DeAndre Swift. I'm also happy to take Colston Loveland. We took him here. And Josh Downs fell 9 spots. I'm going to lock up that volume. It's not the flashiest pick. If you look at Josh Downs' game log, he actually rarely ever goes over like 13 points. So Downs is much more of a floor play. But with Pittman leaving, Pierce a little banged up, I trust Tyler Warren more. But if you read the tea leaves, maybe Josh Downs' price should be moving up, not falling by almost 10 slots here. So I actually considered Josh Downs when I took Chris Godwin. Glad I passed. He made it back to me at 103. On this roster, I think it's built out pretty well so far. We got the elite tight end with Loveland, so I can wait quite a long time to take my second. I could even maybe just pair him up with Gesicki if I wanted to. Probably not going to do that, though. But then receiver with the elite option in JSN, the very strong number 2 that can crack a top 5 score any week. We got T. Higgins in the 3rd. Double stack with Chase Brown and Joe Burrow. Our receiver room also has Chris Godwin and Josh Downs. The Egbuka drafter is on the clock. Let's see what Dirty 123 does. He does have Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, though. He goes golden. He passes on Baker, so I just have to make it past that team. They only had 1 quarterback, so unless Peso goes Baker here, I'm going to get Godwin with Baker as my QB2. That feels pretty solid. Ain't no problem with that. Running back is good enough to pass here. I'll go Baker for sure. Stack him up with Godwin. So quarterback is piecing itself together. Not a bad team so far. And if we just rewind 2 years ago, both of our quarterbacks threw for over 40 touchdown passes. So maybe that can happen again. I'm not the biggest believer that the Bucs are going to bounce back in a major way. The Bucs have several issues. Losing Mike Evans, I think, is a big deal. But it's all going to come down to the offensive coordinator delivering or not. Can we get a Liam Cohen, Dave Canales caliber play caller in Tampa, or are they going to fall off like they did last year a little bit? They're mixing it up. So who knows about how that's going to go, but I do think Baker, for the price, is a solid value. No issue with him at all. There was still Stafford on the board, but I don't have him stacked up, so willing to pass on him. There's also Tyler Shuck, but also going unstacked on my team. I think he's going to make it to the Chris Olave drafter. Yeah, looks like Monster Joe's still has Tyler Shuck on the board. That's a very nice gift for a team with only Jared Goff so far. He goes Andrews. Maybe he doesn't give a fuck. If he passes on Shuck here, I think it's a mistake, because you will get buried at the quarterback position if you are not careful. But he's letting the clock run out. It sounds like He's not going to take Shuck. Yeah, he goes Kelsey. Wow. All right. I would have just taken the fall on Tyler Shuck. Get a good quarterback too. But you can do what you want. Who's to say Shuck stays healthy? But I like the bet on New Orleans. I think when you take Olave as wide receiver 1 at pick 25, it's worth doubling down. Because the fall off on QB after this point is pretty big. So I just disagree with that team's decision, but this is a solid part of the draft to take tight end. So maybe they're right. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was the right choice, though, to take Tyler Shuck. Let's talk about my team, though. I think I need a running back and either of the Vikings guys here I'm fine with. The more talented guy is still Aaron Jones, but Aaron Jones is going to get hurt. Let's just be honest. Aaron Jones is going to miss time. He's too old, and he does get taken. So the decision is made for me. I'm not upset with that at all. I will go Jordan Mason. And if you're telling me Aaron Jones is off the field with an injury in week 17 and you make the final, I'm going to tell you right now, Jordan Mason, unless he loses his job to Damon Claiborne, is going to be a fucking smash week 17 at the New York Jets. That's going to be a blowout, no fucking chance. The Brian Flores defense is going to let the Jets do anything. And second half, major garbage time. If they're in contention for the playoffs and Aaron Jones is healthy, they might just give him a rest. Might just lean on Jordan Mason a little extra. Only concern is if they're leaning on Damon Claiborne so much because the Jets are just that bad and they say, fuck it. Put the third stringer in there. But I think if that's the case, it's because Claiborne kind of earns the job at that point. I think Claiborne is a legit click, regardless of your stance on Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. Jones is probably getting hurt, and Claiborne could steal the job because Mason doesn't catch passes. There will be a role available for someone else. But in heavy winning game script for the Vikings week 17 at the New York Jets, I trust Mason to get some touches and probably the goal line work. Brett is a no badger, so he likes my answer on the no badge thing. It helps to have the experience, but it's not ultimately indicative of like proving that you're going to win money. Sometimes the badge gets a little overblown, but I'm going to go Omar Cooper. I'm going to risk it at quarterback. I'm willing to take a chance that I still get a stacking partner on the way back. I might get sniped. There's Phil Graves, who only has one quarterback so far. He's probably taking one. And then there's also Monster Joe's, who passed on Shuck. He might be taking one, but there's a couple options for me right now, and I think one of them can also fall back to me at pick 151. So I'm willing to gamble on it. We'll see. But Jackson says the Madden curse is real. I'm way behind on the chat already. Remind Stevenson projected 240 carries and 40 catches. I'll smash that in 7th or 8th. He has superior pass blocking. Pass blocking is a skill you can also work on. I will at least say that. Love the upside with Travion. So I'm Travion over Ramondre, to each their own. Jackson has low percentage of all the Bears. That's a fair stance to take. I don't want to be out on all of them, but I understand the argument that they are a little bit overpriced. Not going to lie. We went up to 35 likes, so 2 more likes and we'll do a third draft. We have only 40 viewers, so if you're interested in a third draft, do me a favor, hit that like button. We are sitting at 35 likes right now. Politicians are about to blow the Bears in Indiana, I guess. I saw where it is on the map. Is it really that big of a deal other than it's just across state lines? Like, if they moved it to that city and it would just happen to still be in Illinois, wouldn't it not matter, like, at all? Like, isn't it like just a 20-minute drive? Like, I get it, but it's still going to be called the Chicago Bears regardless. And y'all bumped us up to 38 on the likes, so y'all locked in that third draft. And I think I played this correctly. Both of my stacking quarterbacks are available here. So whether it's Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold, I have my pick of the litter. And I'll be honest, I've taken way more Daniel Jones lately, so I'm going to go Darnold if he's still there. A slightly bigger fall. However, there's plenty of JSN Sam Darnold teams. I think the Darnold JSN stack, however, is more valuable than the Josh Downs Daniel Jones stack. I do like Daniel Jones in this territory, but for the sake of this team with JSN, we'll pair him up with Darnold today. Not bad at all. Vegeta asking, do you think Kyle Pitts will have a good season, or was it just an anomaly? He has finally broke out, or will he disappoint again this year? I think he's going to keep improving year over year like he has, and odds are I think he actually stays on track with his touchdown production. Every single year in the league, he scores exactly as many touchdowns every single season. Year 1, it was 1 touchdown. Year 2, it was 2 touchdowns. Year 3, it was 3 touchdowns. And then if I'm not mistaken, it was all reliant on... Oh, no. Yeah, year 4, he had 4 touchdowns. Then he had 5 touchdowns last year. So this is year 6. I think he'll have 6 touchdowns. I genuinely believe the trend is just going to keep... Like, imagine what Kyle Pitts is going to do year 12. Holy shit. Kyle Pitts is going to keep getting better and better. But all jokes aside, I think he's fine. He's not the most exciting prospect, however. And if you look at his game log, 3 of those touchdowns all came in one game. Without the 40-pointer, it wasn't that consistent from Kyle Pitts. So he's all right. I'm not targeting him, but I think he's a fine selection where he goes. I'm not, like, over the moon about it. I'm not that disappointed. I think it's okay. But there is a chance that I've been fading him a little too much. There's a chance that he does deserve a higher draft pick. All right, I'm back on the board. And this is a tough part of the draft, honestly. I'm not in love with it. But we're going to bet on Tampa again. We're going to go Sean Tucker here. And maybe there's going to be a week where my Baker stack is just so useless because they really go heavy on the goal line with running back. And at the moment, Sean Tucker is profiling as the goal line back. You know they like him in that regard. Last year, Bucky Irving didn't have a single touch inside the 5-yard line, so that role was already taken away from Bucky Irving. The vibes on Bucky are terrible, and while I draft a shit ton of Kenny Gainwell, whenever I miss out on him, I usually just make it a Sean Tucker team, and I have like 20%, both Gainwell and Sean Tucker. So I like both of them. I think they're both good clicks. Definitely solid addition to the roster here. And honestly, I can stop at 5 running backs if I want with this group. I have Chase Brown, Travion Henderson, Tony Pollard, Jordan Mason, and Sean Tucker. When Mason is my 4th, I feel pretty good about the room typically. Especially if I drafted my RB1 in the 2nd round. Jackson says, crazy if snipes me for a 3rd tight end. Who sniped you? Was it Red Hook? Yeah, Red Hook took Goddard from you after also having Kittle and Brock Bowers. Kind of wild. But the fall on Goddard is interesting. He has the bring back, so there is that. And then there's also the element of taking Kittle. You usually want a 3rd tight end. But Kittle paired up with Bowers, definitely, that's fine. And maybe you get bitter here. Maybe you say, fuck you. You take Mendoza at 171. He's not getting the Mendoza stack. That's for sure. So I respect the spite snipe. Whether you needed it or not, I respect the Mendoza click at 171. All right, I'm coming back on the clock here, and you know what I might do here? Shit. Yo, if Phil Grace passes, I think I'm going to take him. because I never fucking take him. And I only need 2 tight ends on this team with Loveland, so I can afford the luxury selection. Damn it. I wanted Charbonnet on this team, actually. I actually did want Zach Charbonnet there. The little hype train on Charbonnet over the week, looking healthy enough to, do some high knees. Russell Wilson would be proud. Charbonnet's fucking good. So I'm starting to come around that maybe he's worth taking, especially 10 picks past ADP. Had Phil Graves passed. It was also stacked up with Darnold. He can catch a lot of passes as well. The Charbonnet selection there, I didn't mind it, but a good click out of Phil Graves, in all honesty. Not a bad selection. At this point, I think it's worth it. Also with Jacobs, kind of risky. Chuba, Jalen Warren, Aaron Jones, and Jonathan Taylor. That team can afford the risk. But damn, I wish Charbonnet had fallen. One more pick. Instead, I got Trey Harris as wide receiver 6. I kind of needed receiver, so that's all right as well. I almost took Trey Harris instead of Sean Tucker. As long as it's not Gary, Indiana. I have never driven through Indiana or Illinois, so I got no clue what it's like out there. I'm not going to speak to your slander. I've heard Chicago looks pretty awesome. I've heard Chicago is great. I have no firsthand experience, though, so I'll take your word for it, but not sure if I can confirm nor deny this take. But I'm never going there again. Sounds like somebody else isn't a fan. All right, I'm on the clock. I could just go Ted Hurst here. That would line up pretty well. Kate Otten is off the board, so would have worked out, but I'll just take the second Bucks receiver. And maybe I can stop here with 7. I got Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. Pretty solid quarterback room. Darnold can spike, but typically he doesn't hit the lineup, so definitely need him as the QB3. 10 picks past ADP stacked up. Makes some sense. But Chase Brown, Traven Henderson, Pollard, Mason, and Sean Tucker. I can afford a 6th if I want, because I think my receiver room is good enough. I got JSN, T. Higgins, loaded up top. Those 2 are pretty solid. Godwin and Josh Downs just need to stay healthy, but the floor is pretty safe. Omar Cooper for the swing with the rookie. Ted Hurst, a stacked up rookie, also high upside. And then Trey Harris with a major breakout potential. Good floor play. I think one of the best clicks on the board. And then the cherry on top, I took Colston Loveland, the elite tight end. Almost forgot, but we're definitely at an advantage in our starting lineup. And I only need one more tight end. So I could stop at 7 receivers. One of these last 2 clicks will vehemently, no doubt about it, be a tight end. But it could be Gesicki. It could be Elijah Arroyo for this stack. I don't think that's really that exciting, though. So maybe not. I prefer AJ Barner a lot more. Barner would have been awesome at 186. Either Otten or Barner I would have loved at 186. So I almost got Charbonnet and Barner. Damn. Sucks to be at the 107 in this situation. 1 click away from 2 major Seahawks stacks. I like the Barner price a lot, actually, the more I think about it. I think in half PPR, AJ Barner is a very good touchdown producer, very high leverage role on the goal line. Even with the tush push aspect, he can give you some rushing touchdowns as well. Underrated player, AJ Barner, a good stacking partner with Sam Darnold. All right, 2 clicks left. Let's take a look at the tight end options. Honestly, I have no concern with what I'm left here. It's really not bad at all. So I think I'll just queue up Gesicki because it does make sense. If I'm going to take Ayuk, it'll be in the last round. I don't think I want him, though. I could go with a Torrey Horton on this team. I do like Torrey Horton quite a bit. But if I do, I can do it in the next round. And then running back is the other direction here. But I think giving myself some time to think about it is fair. Nothing wrong with that. I will go Mike Gesicki first. I will take the tight end that I know makes sense. If I get sniped on Gesicki, I'm going to be kind of pissed. So there's not many good tight ends remaining. And unfortunately, the Bengals tight end room is actually more of a committee than people think. There's Tanner Hudson, there's Eric All, there's even Drew Sample, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Sample has moved on, but it's actually kind of crowded. Thankfully, Noah Fant is no longer with the team. Noah Fant was crowding it up as well last year, and Gesicki has proven he definitely has the best chemistry. So we don't draft many Bengals. I don't take Gesicki too often. And even stacked up, it's not the most critical selection. But on this team, I waited on tight ends for such a long time. I have Loveland and Gesicki. That's good enough. I got a flat tire near Gary, left town, and went back to the safety of the highway. Getting a flat tire, never a good omen. Been to Flint a few times, another wonderful city. Yo, is Flint still got lead in the pipes? Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Flint still has lead in the pipes. Our government has terrible priorities. Wouldn't shock me at all. I will take Goddard too. Don't think he will fall to you. Goddard, I think, is a good click. Like, I don't really understand why he's fallen while A.J. Brown got traded. He went away. All right, it's between Torrey Horton and taking one of these random swings. On this team, I'm not going to go Jordan Mason and Claiborne. I did that in the Best Ball Mania entry I showed you all at the top of the stream. But today, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go Torrey Horton for that Sam Darnold stack, one of my favorite players. And I have some confidence that he can actually win the number 2 receiver job at some point this year. Cooper Kupp can definitely get hurt. Rashid Shaheed might be more of a special teams asset than people think. Maybe Torrey Horton just never stays healthy, and maybe it's too crowded above him. But I like his role. I think in terms of touchdowns, this is the stack that's most exciting to me for the price with Darnold. So let's recap the team. Pretty solid quarterback room. Could be a little better, but I think for the stacks and correlation, it makes a lot of sense. And then Burrow Baker feels very good with Darnold pulling up the rear. Running back might need a 6, but I think the balanced approach really paid off. We took a running back in round 2, Chase Brown. Travion Henderson in the 5th, really good price, 55 overall. Tony Pollard also passed ADP. I like his price a lot as well. Jordan Mason just passed ADP, really good. Running back 4, especially when Aaron Jones does go down. But the bet on Sean Tucker, running back 5, could be more involved than people expect. Could have the goal line role. I think that's a good running back room. But receiver feels very strong. Took JSN in the 1st, T. Higgins in the 3rd. Waited until the 8th round to take Chris Godwin at wide receiver 3. But as long as he's healthy, it's definitely worth that price. Josh Downs was a slight gift as the 4th option. Omar Cooper, the 5th, is a little risky, though. But I think trusting JSN and T. Higgins is worth it. And then 3 of my favorite clicks down the stretch. Wide receiver 6 is Trey Harris. 7 is Ted Hurst, another stacking partner. And then lastly, Torrey Horton, a double stack in Seattle. So I like the team quite a bit. And then the cherry on top, Colston Loveland to really give me that extra advantage. Love to have the elite onesie every now and then. So a fun team. Gesicki stacked up, not counting on him too much though. But we got a triple stack with Burrow, a double stack with Baker. Sean Tucker, I don't think really qualifies as a stacking piece, but I guess it's a triple stack with Baker, and then a double stack with Sam Darnold. All right, that's going to be it for this puppy. We have a few of y'all drafting with us, and we did lock in draft number 3. So I do have plans this evening, but I can definitely have time for one more. Let's do some quick team reviews. Let me find out who's a member first. We have Super Beast in here as a member. We also have, I think Young Phil might be a member. Let me check. I think Young Phil is. Fuck, I gotta scroll up kind of far. This is riveting content. At least the music's on, right? At least the music's on. Honestly, Phil, Amped Phil, if you want a review, please let me know. Please remind me. Literally drop anything in the chat so I can see the green the green username. But otherwise, we have Kale, who became a member earlier today. And y'all two get a review. Otherwise, we'll see if we have time for more than other ones. I'm not going to review Jackson Duffy. He was in the earlier draft, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no. This is the first draft of the day with Jackson. So I'll do Jackson as well. All right. Super Beast. Keith. You have Caleb, Shuck, and Rogers. That fall on Shuck was nice. It is unstacked, if I recall, but still a really nice price. Not bad at all. Bijan, DeAndre Swift, and Ken Walker. Dobbins and C-Rod. You reached on both Gainwell and Dobbins, but kind of worth taking both. That's just kind of the price you have to pay in order to get him. You do not worry about C-Rod, though. You grabbed him at 119. Not afraid of the foot injury. We got George Pickens, Nico Collins, Roma Dunze, Cortland Sutton, Trey Tucker, Denzel Boston, Jerry Jeudy. So the Browns investment I don't like, but the Rome stack is not bad. And then 2 really high-end top 10 receivers most likely, so pretty good receiver room. Sutton, though, through Jeudy is kind of mid. That's kind of mid, not going to lie. The depth kind of scares me. But then Hawkinson, Ferguson, and Colby Parkinson, you waited forever for tight end. It's not the best tight end room. I'd prefer this team with a Juwan Johnson, tight end 1, not going to lie. In order to take Juwan, though, you had to take him over Denzel Boston. I don't mind that. You reached on Boston and Trey Tucker. You just got your guys in this one. So I respect it. Honestly, it's not bad, but I think the receiver room is a little shaky, and then tight end is gross. But the Rams bet is unique. They can pay off. Just, I sure hope Max Clare doesn't burn you. Good luck, but quarterback and running back might be a little bit too strong for the sake of the rest of the team. If you hit on Hawkinson, you're in business, but I worry about the receiver depth and tight end quite a bit. All right, we got Kale in here. He's a new member. And then Batwheat is also a new member. Yo, Batwheat, thank you very much. Are you in this lobby with us? Let me know. Kale, though, has T-Law, Malik Willis, and Bryce Young. That's perfectly fine. The bet on T-Law I respect. We got Genty, Saquon, Javante. So really big investment, strong running back room. Waited till the end to take Kamara and Braylon Allen. I'm actually starting to come around on the Braylon Allen price. Pick 203. Why the fuck not? He's definitely the number 2 in New York. But it is the Jets. Not that exciting. But pick 203. A very clear number 2 running back. We got Tet McMillan, Devontae Adams at a very nice price. Pick 59 on Adams is legit. BTJ, love it, especially stacked up. You also have Jacoby Myers at 107. I had that stack in the last draft. You also have Travis Hunter, so mega T-Law investment. You also have Brenton Strange. So every week, as long as Parker Washington doesn't bury you, you're getting a lot of points. Malik Washington, Chris Brazzell. Brazzell's an interesting combo. You do have Bryce Young on this one. Brazzell is the reason why I'm not drafting Jalen Coker anymore at a high clip. I'm actually kind of worried about Coker a little bit. But Coker just had a contract extension. Maybe he's not a player to fade. But I get the Brazzell selection. Receiver is a little tricky here. It's not that elite. And with only 7 having Hunter and Brazzell could be problematic because I'm not convinced that Tet is actually worth his price. But you're betting on the Panthers worth a shot. And I do think BTJ Adams can keep you afloat. But really, it's the tight end room on this one that makes it really interesting. The Kraft Laporta Strange bet. You got a really nice fall on Laporta. And then you did get the stack with Strange. So perhaps one too many Jaguars. That's maybe the only thing I can think of. Quarterback isn't like the strongest, but it has depth, and Malik doesn't need to be stacked. So it's legit. Running back is good. Receiver is tricky, but if you can thread the needle, if you have the right options, you'll be set. And then as long as Parker doesn't bury you, like I said, you'll have at least one Jaguars whiteout every week going off. So good luck. You are a Jags fan, so checks out. Definitely a legit strategy. Let me know, who do you trust? If you could only have one of these Jaguars, Kale, who would it be at ADP? If I put a gun to your head, I would never do that. This is purely a hypothetical scenario. But I said, answer this question. Which Jaguar do you want? Which pass catcher? Which one are you taking? And on this team, I sure hope your answer is not Parker Washington. For me, it's BTJ. That's my stance on it. But would love to hear your stance as a Jaguar fan. Batwheat was not in this lobby. Going to try for the next draft. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. I don't want to waste too many people's time, so I'm going to look at Jackson Duffy. I think that was really the last one I can know for sure was drafting with us. And this will be Jackson's team review. Let's take a look. We got Hurts, Bo Nix, and Mendoza. Jackson did say he was sniped on Goddard. ETN, Ramondre, Blake Corum, JCM, Woody Marks, and Claiborne. Not my favorite running back room. Player take-wise, I don't like Ramondre. I don't like JCM. I don't like Woody Marks. So that's my stance on it. Good luck, but I like the Corum bet at this point. It's probably worth it. And then Claiborne is really interesting. But a lot is hinging on Travis. You got Jamar Chase, though, unstacked. Devontae Smith is stacked up. Garrett Wilson, 46. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Jalen Waddle with Bo Nix. Love to see that. Wan'Dale Robinson and Ryan Flournoy. Pretty solid receiver room. Might be a little thin, though, with only 6. I think some people take Jamar Chase, grab some early options, and get a little too comfortable locking up just 6. I get it. You have 4 by the 5th round with Waddle. I can understand arguing that you only need 6, but I think the 6th needs to be better than Ryan Flournoy. Because you also have a double week 10 bye. That could be an issue. Flournoy doesn't really guarantee you anything. I think you can get away with it, but I think if you also suffer an injury, you could be dead. Like if Devontae Smith misses like 5 games in theory, or Garrett Wilson only has like 3 touchdowns again, you could be kind of dead. However, I think you'll get away with it. Tight end, though, has Gadsden, Freiermuth, and Stowers. Fair bet, not too bad. Running back, though, here's the thing. Running back doesn't feel good enough on this team to only have 6 receivers. Tight end also feels like you waited a bit. Doesn't feel elite enough to have this kind of thin receiver room and running back room. But then quarterback was kind of highly invested. You got the double week 10 bye with Hurts and Bo Nix, so you might have felt the pressure to take Mendoza. I think if Mendoza was another receiver, I would like this team a little bit more, but you do have to worry about the week 10 bye. So a minor landmine. Mendoza is also unstacked, so much more of a bitter selection past ADP than anything else. Yeah, the Mendoza pick, I would have liked to see Trey Harris, honestly. I think Trey Harris is a elite selection there. You have Bo Nix and Jalen Hurts, so maybe a Pat Bryant selection, maybe a Troy Franklin selection would have also paid off instead of Claiborne. Player take-wise, I don't feel good about the running back room, but that's going to be it for the team review. Let's move on, and there was a lot of votes for the Superflex in the draft, so I haven't closed the poll. We're going to take a rip, and then we're going to draft in the Superflex contest because this thing is going to close fairly soon. So not drafting in the Frenchie today. I'm going to take a rip from the pipe. It's been a minute, so if you want to join me, you can smoke it if you got it. We'll enter the lobby right after that. All right, I'm entering the field general, and I'm going to give you a 10-second countdown. We're drafting the field general in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's go. I went a little slower on that one. We did get a lot of open spots in this lobby, so there may be a pre-fill that is possible. We just filled like 6 spots. There's 1 left. And if you want in this field general, come on in. I hope if... At this point, if you wanted to be in the lobby, you definitely have the time to get in. So it is now officially full. Looking forward to a strong friends and family draft. Which pick did I get? Pick 11. I never get the early picks in this one. It's kind of annoying, but we got Batwheat In at the 101, Batweet's getting a team review. We got S.3000 at 102. Ship My Bread at 103. Kale in here at 4. GSW Woof, not sure if you're watching, but also in this lobby. Libra is watching. Brew Crew is watching. John Tara in the house. J Rock the Party in the house. We got Binks 17. We've drafted with Binks before, so I assume he's watching. And then Average Ball might be watching as well. Imagine this is a full house, so non-blunt rotation members probably not going to get a team review. I'm not sure I have the time after this, but gonna be fun. Let's go. And Kale says BTJ is his must draft receiver. Love to hear it from someone that probably knows the team very, very well. Also watches so much best ball content. I'm sure you're a sharp drafter. Sure, you've thought it out with a lot of different avenues, a lot of different outcomes. So good. Like to hear you're in agreement. Vegeta says Travis Hunter, the wasted pick, the wasted everything for fantasy. I don't know if he's wasted. I think when I take him, though, I like to have an 8th receiver. I think having 7 with Travis Hunter is a little tricky. Could be too risky when it's all said and done. But I don't like JCM, but what about Bill? Here's the thing. I still believe in Bill. I still like Bill from a story standpoint. Interesting. This lobby went 4 straight running backs. So Gibbs at 105. Wish that was me. I don't like the price on JCM. I think if I'm going to be investing in Washington's backfield for the price, give me Rashad White and give me Katron Allen. I think JCM should be going much closer to a Woody Marks. I think JCM is not more valuable than Keaton Mitchell. Maybe not even more valuable than Jonah Coleman or like Brian Robinson. I could see him be really, really a bad pick. But I'm here on the clock. I'm just going to take my boy, not really fuck around at all. I'm going to go Justin Herbert, and then we'll see what happens from pick 12. But if pick 12 snipes me on Herbert, I'm going to be pissed. I mentioned it earlier. I actually do rank Herbert above Caleb Williams. I rank him above Dak Prescott. I actually rank him above Joe Burrow, believe it or not. Burrow has a lot more injury risk than Justin Herbert. In redraft, give me Herbert all day long. Herbert is my QB6. Caleb makes it back. We could do that. It's not as unique. I'm going to go Jackson Dart today. Dart is really compelling from a spike week standpoint. And wow, Binks in here goes with the strategy I kind of shit talked earlier in this live stream. We had a team review where Team 12 went Puka and JSN, and I did not like it. So I might get mean. I might decide to bully Binks as this draft proceeds. I might just do that. Just so this is a 2 of 11. Because if he doesn't get a quarterback with both of the next picks, I think he can really get screwed. Anyways, Vegeta, the Jags have so many weapons, they don't need Travis Hunter on offense. He was the worst draft pick in the past 10 years in fantasy football, besides Keon Coleman. Last year he was. This year the price is so much cheaper, I think it's worth mixing in every now and then. Because if you've paid attention to the Jags training camp this summer, players on offense have been wearing teal. Well, so far, Travis Hunter has only worn the teal uniform. He has only been taking reps on offense so far. So last year, they wanted to get him going on the defense at corner. This year, I think they're really trying to make the bet on offense. So I think that will work out. His last game before he went down was against the Rams. He had 20 fantasy points. He was balling out. It would be shocking if they just gave up on him. So I think it's worth the bet given the price is just so much cheaper than it was last year. I think it's much more likely that Travis Hunter's draft price goes up next season as opposed to going down. I think the price on Travis Hunter is worth mixing in, but I also understand the argument to never take him at all. I'm not dying to overload when I already have BTJ and Jacoby Myers. I'd rather grab Strange as the third option than Travis Hunter. But especially unstacked, I think it's kind of worth it. If you didn't get any stack with T-Law, I think it's worth it. The price is much cheaper this year. You have to say that. You have to acknowledge that at the very least. Enter on 6 to beat the 7s. Right. Yeah, now there's some countdown meta that we're going to get into. Once you reveal the method and everyone knows the little secret, then there's going to be trying to get ahead of everyone else. You know, there's going to be some galaxy brain to the countdown strategy coming in soon. Vegeta, I keep wanting to call you Vegas, bro. I think because there's the SS4, also the Super has an S. I keep wanting to just say Vegas. But Vegeta says, I noticed doing mock drafts that if you draft 3 RBs in a row, half the league is screwed for RBs. After round 4, you're drafting RB2 and RB3. Yeah, given the prices this year, everyone is back on running back as it kind of appropriately should be. And if you can get ahead, the people that don't adjust will get screwed. It's less likely that you fail your draft. You know, Binks, I'm sorry, but I kind of want to just see what happens. I'm going to take Shuck and box Binks out of the tier break. I want to see just how bad it can get. Because if Binks feels the pressure, yeah, he's going to leave me one of these running backs. He leaves both of them for me, so fuck yeah. That's exactly what I was hoping for. We get Hampton in the 4th. Had I left Shuck on the board, he would not have been taken. At least Binks did what I think needed to happen in the last lobby. I think going Darnold and Malik Willis is critical because the quarterbacks available at 60 and 61 can be dog shit. So I think Binks can make it out okay, but had they grabbed the running backs, I think that would have been really, really fun to see. I was really hopeful. He just went with Derrick Henry and Omarion Hampton or something like that. But no, he goes Darnold for the stack, makes sense, and then Malik Willis out of desperation. But my team has Herbert, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Shuck, going to be one of the best quarterback lobbies, if not the best, in the room. But Batwheat, yeah, good to see you. Glad that you made it in the second one. But Brett just missed it. I'm sure I'll see you next time. Yeah, you have to diversify. So maybe Binks is also drafting a shit ton of teams. He has a black badge, so maybe not. But you have to diversify for sure. Drago is GSD Woof. Boy, my dyslexia really hit on that one. So you are at the 105. You got Gibbs. Damn, good for you, man. Good for you. Gibbs with Mahomes, Jordan Love, and Cam Ward. You might have been hopeful to get Jared Goff at 29, but regardless, still a very good quarterback room. Very, very fun to have Gibbs at the 105. Even Libra at the 106. I'm sure he's pretty happy to have Bijan at a discount. Very, very fun. Those players usually go at pick 2 and 3, last I've seen. But Best Ball Cabal, the 12-hole better subscribe soon. If the 12-hole is watching, please let me know. I would love if Binks can reveal himself. Maybe he's just a watcher, maybe just lurking, but I think he might be watching. We've definitely drafted with Binks 17 before. But Mike Rob in at the 2. Are you S. Mike Rob? I did not know that. I did not know that. Will Trevor Lawrence finally make it to 30 touchdowns? I think so. I think if BTJ really has the bounce back, I think so. My guess is 30 touchdowns is definitely achievable on T-Law. I'm kind of shocked. Did he really not hit that last year? Trevor Lawrence threw 29 touchdowns last year. That's shocking. He had 9 rushing touchdowns, though. That's going to come down. No way he has 9 rushing scores this season. That's fucking crazy. All right, so my team with the 3-1-0-0 so far, definitely fine fading wideout so far. But Tyler, who is the best late running back to target in redraft? I find myself being stuck without a good bench tight end or running back. Best late running back to target. What do you consider late? Because given the market, round 7 didn't feel like it was late, but you're drafting like running back 25 already in like the 6th round. So anything past like RB 20, I think is considered kind of late. I like Tony Pollard, but even later, I love Rico Dowdle. I also really, really like Kenneth Gainwell. Those 3 are my favorite. I think Jonathan Brooks is amazing. As long as he stays healthy, I think he will win the job, so he's a good asset. My favorites would be Rico Dowdle, Kenneth Gainwell, excuse me. Kenneth Gainwell is going late. And Jonathan Brooks. But I do consider Pollard going late enough versus his peers, just like in the ranks, to also kind of kick off that tier. I think once Baishal Tutin's off the board, the rest of the remaining running backs are not the best. So those 4, I'd recommend. My favorite, the one I've drafted the most of, is Rico Dowdle and Kenneth Gainwell. I think a good late tight end is Chig. 100% agree with that. I also love Freiermuth. Oh, shit. I thought I had pick 10. I didn't even realize I was on the clock. I should have gone Cam Scatterbu there. Fuck. We did get an ADP faller, though. Devontae Smith, pick 62, is not bad. But legitimately, I didn't realize I was on the clock. I thought I had pick 10. Not going to lie. So, not a bad spot to be hitting the auto click, but I think Cam Scatterbu would have helped the team out a little more, and we also would have gotten the Jackson Dart Cam Scatterbu correlation. It is what it is, but especially when you can't get Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore in round 5 and 6 smash the running backs reality. Marvin was a round 2-3 pick last year. I don't like Marvin Harrison this season. I don't like it. The quarterback's situation is just terrible. And if you look at his dad never got elite until he had Peyton Manning. You know when that happened? At year 4. Then he was an all-pro. I'm kind of a believer that Marvin Harrison isn't going to hit until next year when Arch Manning is throwing him the ball. I think that's probably what's going to happen. They get Arch Manning in the draft next year, and then finally the Harrison-Manning connection will hit with the young ones. Brett is Brew Crew. I missed the RB goodies round 1. Yeah, Brew Crew at pick 7. The first pick that just didn't matter about those fallers. Bummer. Bummer, Brett. But Drago Dog says, thanks. You're welcome, bro. You are welcome. Mike Rob is not S. He is da money. When people don't have the same... Yo, y'all are just fucking with me. I genuinely have no idea when somebody doesn't have the same username, unless I've seen it like a bunch of times and it's just like ingrained in the memory. Legitimately, I have no fucking clue. But Tyler, thoughts on my question? Sorry for being slow. But I think I got to your question. Did I? Yeah. Yeah, give me Rico. Late round tight ends, give me Chig. I also like Juwan Johnson a lot. I also like Pat Freiermuth. Those are the really, really late tight ends. I think Hunter Henry's interesting. Yeah, it's got to be Rudy. Price, I don't think is going late enough. We could take him here. I need running back, so I think I will. Binks has Seahawks on his team, so I'll go Jadarian Price because I don't think he's passing on the Seahawks running back at 84 or 85. So I'll just grab Jadarian. Would have preferred to have Scatterbu instead of Devontae Smith, but it's all right. Kyler Murray tossing them interceptions in training camp. LOL, he says, the playbook is challenging. Will the NFL finally realize Kyler is just glorified Justin Fields? The early preseason interceptions aren't gonna scare me off of a player like that. Damn, kind of a bummer here because Terry's much better. This is why I wanted Cam Scattaboo, but I might get really buried at RB. I'm gonna go Tony Pollard. Damn, the Devontae Smith pick kind of biting me in the ass. Not gonna lie. I think Kyler's better than Justin Fields. Do I think he's elite? Maybe not, but I do think KOC is a quarterback whisperer. I trust in Kevin O'Connell, and I also do not trust in JJ McCarthy. Kyler can still get hurt, though. That's definitely a variable I worry about with Kyler, but we'll see. But yeah, the Arizona Nepotism Cardinals, I think, is kind of the only way to save Harrison's career. Tyler says, we're price gouging Seattle's rookie running back. In this lobby, he fell. I do think he's starting to go a little too expensive in the early 5th in the regular contest, but in here, pick 83, it's much more palatable, much more affordable, and I'm fine with it. Given my room is kind of desperate. I only had Hampton, and running back will not look good after the next turn. The next turn is kind of the only spot where you can catch up at running back, and sometimes people wise up and don't let you have it. But Vegeta says, I encourage everybody to watch the Shady McCoy thought on Kyler Murray and his career. I know Kyler has a lot of haters. I've been one in the past, but I believe in the situation. I think he will play much better this year than he has in a while. I believe he can have one good year left in the tank, and given his contract, it's a prove-it deal. I think he will have the right mindset this season to pay off. I trust in his weapons. I trust in Minnesota. I think we can get a Sam Darnold level season out of Kyler Murray. And if that happens, he'll be top 10, top 12 at the very worst. With the rushing upside, he can absolutely spike for a top 5 game. And he's being drafted as quarterback 17 right now. That's a pretty good value. So I think this is the year to be in on Kyler. I have not been in on him in the past, but in the past, he was being drafted as like quarterback 8, quarterback 7, quarterback 5. Last year, he was also going around pick 100. He's only going a few picks later, but the entire quarterback market is much more expensive this season. So that is where I think his price is worth it. I'm willing to take Kyler this year, even willing to reach on him if I have to. But Kale saying, go ahead, don't draft Kyler. Yeah, if y'all want to fade him, be my guest. I'm willing to gamble on it. I think it's worth it. Should have left Devontae Smith for me. Honestly, that wasn't the pick I wanted. I legitimately didn't see I was on the clock until there was like 3 seconds left. So my bad. Unfortunately, didn't work out. And here I am. I'm not going to get sniped by Binks. I'm just going to take Kenneth Gainwell. Lock it up. I definitely think he's the more valuable running back remaining. So one of my favorites, happy to take him. And at least there is the luxury of passing on receiver because I have the double anchor with Olave and Devontae Smith. They're both going in the top 12. So Olave, Devontae Smith, not a bad pairing at all. But if I want Quentin Johnson, I think I have to take him here. I just don't think he'll make it back. Wow, Binks didn't take a single running back. That's kind of shocking. So if that's the case, then I'm just going to load up. I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks. I think I can stop with 6, maybe even stop with 5. But the running back room feels much better at this point in time. But I think I would like this team better still had I gone Hampton, Cam Scattaboo instead of Devontae Smith, and then here, maybe instead of Brooks, I grab Quentin Johnston for the stack, or even just go with like Terry McLaurin instead of Tony Pollard. Passing on Terry there was kind of a bummer. So the auto kind of bites me in the ass, but once you have him, let's make the argument that was vehemently the best click I could have made. He will hit for sure at this price. And maybe I don't need as strong of a receiver depth the rest of the way because Devontae is going to carry me. But Dowdle pick was mean as fuck. Huge drop to Harvey. Yeah, Dowdle is going too far. Dowdle should be going over Chuba Hubbard, over Jalen Warren, over Ramondre Stevenson, in my opinion. I think once Pollard is off the board, Rico is the next best option, and both of them are worth more than their ADP would suggest. So that's my stance on it. Give me Rico all day long. Tyler, your grammar here is fucked up. We are is price gouging. That's what this says. Tyler, I'm going to request that you revisit this apostrophe because legitimately I have no idea what... Where is price gouging? Pretty sure you're talking about the rookie, though. That's my guess. But we're kind of expensive on all of the Seahawks backfield. Like, people still take George Holani, and he's the fourth guy. We draft Emmanuel Wilson. We draft Zach Charbonnet. And then we also draft Jadarian Price. But it's kind of hard to trust the entire Seahawks backfield. Murray, 26 and 21, most touchdowns thrown in a season. Yeah, but he can also run for 500 yards. There's also that. God, sniped on Flowers and Adams. That's brutal. Where did Flowers go in this one? Yeah, he was 3 picks away. And then Adams was 1 click away. Bummer. Bummer. Pivoting is fun. I enjoy it. Vegeta says he had 6 touchdowns in 5 games last year. Just my opinion, guys. Load up on him. Are we talking about Kyler still? Kyler was terrible, but that was Arizona. I'm willing to write off Arizona as just the problem. I think Kyler can deliver in Minnesota, but Rashad pick was even meaner. Rashad. I'm on the clock here. Wow, QJ made it back. Fuck yeah. Not going to fuck around. Definitely going to take my stack with Quentin Johnston. You can have Massage Watson all you like. I'm not interested in the massage here. Not at all. So receiver coming back around with Quentin Johnston, 131. Nice 7-pick fall. Get the stacking partner. Very, very nice. I think y'all messed up leaving QJ after JCM. Holy shit. That's wild to me. But my receiver room could kind of use some more depth, honestly. Don't think it's the worst decision. However, Isaiah Likely does stack up pretty nicely. Yeah, I'm going to trust that Devontae Smith was just the right pick. You only have to start a minimum 2 receivers every week, so only having 3 so far I think is all right. And who knows, maybe this side of the board isn't going to take too many receivers around this turn. Maybe we get lucky, get another massive fall at wideout. But damn, Quentin Johnston, 131. That's awesome. Brett says I can push RB all draft. Brett, you're Brew Crew, right? You got Taylor, Harvey, Dobbins, and Tracy. Not the best, but it's fine. Yeah, you are absolutely Brew Crew. Sorry, auto pick. Yo, it's still fucking, it's still auto-correcting you. It's still giving you the apostrophe. I don't know what you're intending to say. Not as fun as getting your guys. Definitely in Superflex. I think it's more fun to just get your guys. Drago saying sorry about Flowers. Flowers is a good pick. Flowers is definitely a good pick. Vegeta says, another awesome fact, Mike Evans had one of the lowest catchable pass rates last year. Baker was way off target, probably because of injuries. 48% catchable. He caught 30 out of 61 targets. That is interesting. As someone who was like tracking Evans a lot last year, early in the year before he got hurt, he had some of the worst corner matchups you could ask for. He had terrible corners every fucking week. It was really interesting. That was one of the reasons why maybe Egbuka was going off so much, because every defense was just trying to jam Mike Evans with like an elite top 10 corner every week. And then Egbuka was just like really capitalizing as the number 2 target. But Anthony says, hi, I just joined the stream. You doing another? Nah, I think this is the last one, Anthony. I think you got in a little too late. We've been live for over 2 hours now, and we are on draft number 3. So I think that's going to be it. There's a lot of good live streamers you can pivot to after this, but unfortunately, you will not be able to join our next stream. But no worries. On Sunday, we're going to be live for 10 hours straight, doing a 10-hour marathon to celebrate 10,000 subscribers. It's kind of surreal, so let's go big or go home. Only one chance ever to celebrate the occasion, and we'll be drafting a ton of teams on Sunday. So definitely keep your notifications on, but I'm sure you'll find an opportunity to draft with us on Sunday. But yeah, Baker had a down season last year. He got hurt. There was a lot of injuries on his team. Tristan Wirfs was injured. Godwin was injured. Mike Evans got injured. Jalen McMillan got injured. Bucky Irving got injured. Up and down the list, everyone got injured. Even Egbuka got hurt. He played through pain. And maybe I don't trust Todd Bowles and the coaching staff too much, but I also believe that injuries are the major reason why the Bucks were so bad last year. But damn, would have loved Romeo Dobbs there. A bit of a cliff. And honestly, everyone remaining is kind of in the same tier. So I'm just going to grab the stack. I'm going to go with Juwan Johnson as my tight end 2. Honestly, this is a section of the draft where I like to grab 2 tight ends. I think grabbing 3 straight tight ends, rounds 12, 13, and 14, is really, really nice. So I might do that here. I definitely don't want Tyjae Spears. No offense, Binks, but not a click I would have made at all. In all honesty, if I'm going to go running back here, it's going to be Zach Charbonnet. But I have Jadarian Price. I'd rather just bet on Jadarian Price. And this is kind of a bummer. Even Stephon Diggs was taken. That kind of sucks. I mean, fuck it. I'll go Khalil Shakir for the floor. I'll take Khalil Shakir at 158. Not exciting, not a big spike week guy, but big discount here. And I also just need points. I need someone consistent in the lineup in case Olave, Devontae Smith, or QJ just don't show up any week. So Shakir gonna lock in like 9 points. I think that in itself is a value when you fade the position for such a long time. There's not that many floor plays remaining like Khalil Shakir, but maybe they bring in Stephon Diggs. Maybe Buffalo has a much more crowded receiver room, but at the moment we're getting the number 2 receiver in Buffalo. That has its value, no doubt about it. But Brett keeps getting sniped on RB. He takes Algier. Yeah, in Superflex, you get sniped at running back a lot if you don't take him pretty early. But, yo, what's up, Young Moolah? How we doing? GAB for Life. Anyone hasn't checked him out yet, go ahead and subscribe over at GAB for Life, a fun live stream. And I believe you're going live this evening. It's possible that was yesterday. I noticed you started picking up the streams again. I'll be looking to hop into your chat next time I can. But thank you for hopping in, Young Moolah. Appreciate you joining today. Todd says, I saw Kimani Vidal go in the 7th round today on DK. They must be from the future, and Vidal is who you need to win. That better not be true. I'm willing to chalk that up to just the star method, and somebody fucked up. But DraftKings is weird. Maybe that person just is still living in the past. Who the fuck knows? But give me Hampton all day. They better not have the Back to the Future Almanac. I better not get screwed with my Omarion Hampton investment. But John Tyra deserved that Kirk snipe. Did we snipe you on Kirk last time, or are you trying to get Kirk in this one too? Oh, Kirk Cousins. I'm assuming it's Kirk Cousins. But thank you, Anthony. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm excited. It feels good, and definitely hitting a goal of mine that I've had for a while. Always feel nice. But next thing, got to just raise the bar on to greener pastures, on to the next level for sure. But I need some receivers. Yikes, not the most exciting, but fuck it. I'll go Denzel Boston today. Willing to take a random Cleveland Brown every now and then. Maybe not the best pick in the world, but I also need some depth at receiver, and it makes sense. Definitely tracks to just grab him here. But Deebo Samuel goes. Trey Harris is still on the board. I have Justin Herbert, so I'm getting the double stack. Give me a Quentin Johnson, Trey Harris team with Herbert, along with Omarion Hampton. So love it. We got Herbert, Hampton, and the two wideouts. Maybe Njoku will be my last tight end. But so far, coming together nicely. We're in pretty good shape, if you ask me. So a recap of the team. We got a 3-5-6-2 out of the 11 slot. And we started off triple quarterback with Herbert, Jackson Dart, and then Tyler Shuck was just kind of to bully Team 12 a little bit and try to get them to maybe pass on quarterback entirely, given the values weren't there. But then we take Hampton, Olave, and then auto Devontae Smith. For the sake of the build, I'm happy that I have Devontae as a good option. But I preferred, if this team had Scattaboo, I think it would be a better team. And then instead of Pollard or Jadarian, we have Terry McLaurin. I think I would like the team a little bit more. But the running back depth is pretty solid with Jadarian Price, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell, and Jonathan Brooks. Very solid with that group. And then Quentin Johnston, nice little discount stacked up. Very, very good click. Likely is stacked up. Juwan Johnson is stacked up. Khalil Shakir, Denzel Boston, and Trey Harris. Fun team we got going, and we have officially 6 wideouts so far. So we have caught up a little bit. A pretty balanced team. I can't say there's a weakness. I think the quarterback investment is strong enough where I don't need a fourth. So not going to grab one of the random handcuffs, but I could go Jameis Winston on this team if I really wanted to. I don't mind a Jameis Winston with Jackson Dart. But I think with Tyler Shuck, it's just probably worth betting on the 3 that I have, paying off and staying healthy. So this team will be able to afford a luxury selection, because typically I go 4 QBs, having 3 in the first 3 rounds. Can definitely stop there. But Vegeta says Igbuka was going off games 5 through 9 until he was hurt. Evans came back, then his target share dropped to 4.8 per game. He disappeared, but Evans is gone now. So yeah, I would also shrug my shoulders to the Igbuka haters. They drafted him round 1 for a reason last year, despite a lot of people not really understanding the pick. And historically, the Buccaneers always draft elite wideouts. They almost never miss when they take a wideout in the draft. So I do respect Chris Godwin, but he's getting older, had a really gruesome injury, might not be back at true full strength ceiling with Godwin. Also a bit more injury prone at his stage of his career. Then there's Jalen McMillan, who I really like, but last year was off the field a lot with a neck injury. Think he can bounce back. I like him a lot at cost. And then there's Ted Hurst as well. So it's kind of crowded, but still Igbuka is clearly the number 1 guy, and he hasn't been falling. People still respect him. I think it's worth taking him. But he will have Trent McDuffie as the matchup week 17 facing the Rams. That's not ideal. So Trent McDuffie, definitely one of the corners you want to avoid. Perhaps that could burn you in the big money weeks. I could see that be a problem, honestly, but not going to overthink it. I still think Igbuka is worth the investment. All right, here on the clock, thankfully, Judy's off the board. Didn't want another Cleveland Brown. I need another tight end, so Terrence Ferguson, my preferred option at this point. And Joku's off the board, so the stack isn't there. And then passing on Braylon Allen is not that difficult. So I'll take Terrence Ferguson just to lock up my preference at the position. I really don't think Binks can take anyone with these two picks to the point where I feel buried with his decision. However, had he sniped me on Terrence Ferguson, I would have been upset. I would have been mad. I will go Darnell Mooney here. I think so. But some weird reports on Mooney, actually, that he's like a role player. Maybe not, actually. Fuck it. I'm going to go Kalen Black. I usually only take Jordan James, but shout out Jerry Football. I think you should be mixing in both. I don't think it's definitive who is the guy over the other one. It's not clearly the case that you need to be drafting one over the other. So I think mixing in both is fair. We are officially in round 18, so around the long turn, not expecting ADP to matter to anyone. It shouldn't matter to me. These are all $1 selections. Get your guy, get who you want. Today, I wanted Kalen Black. But John Tyra, I definitely wanted Kirk Cousins. Unfortunately, you don't get him. But it's not the end of the world. Cousins probably doesn't finish the season. And so when it matters most when you're getting paid, Cousins might not help you. But definitely might help you get there. And might be playing more starts than some people think. If they can stay competitive, maybe Kirk Cousins stays on the field past like week 8. But M. Stockton says, I like my Niners backup running backs how I like my women black. I mean, I agree with you, bro. My I don't want to say something that she's going to be mad at, but my girlfriend also proves that point. So yeah, just like our coffee. I do think Jordan James, though, is the leader in the clubhouse. I will say this. I like Kalen Black's potential. I don't think you should fade him entirely, but I also believe that Jordan James, at the moment, with more reps and experience, is probably more likely the leader to be the RB2. But we're coming back around. This is the final turn. I'm going to take a rip from the pipe. It's been a minute, so if y'all want to join me, y'all can. And I'll leave the drop. See you on the other side. All right. So far, the 3-6-6-3, I think I can stop with 6 running backs. I think the 7th receiver is going to help me. And then I also think for the sake of the build, the 4th tight end is not an egregious choice. I don't think the 4th tight end is terrible. So I think I'm going to go Malachi Fields for the stack. Weird vibes in New York. And they definitely want to see what they got in the rookie. So let's bet on Fields. He is stacked up with Jackson Dart. Let's take a gamble. I could see him be a very good click if he can get his shit together year 1. However, this late, honestly, I'm tempted to go into the receiver, but don't think I need it. I think it's tight end. I think so. Tight end this late is kind of gross, though. But I'm going to take Theo Johnson as well. I'm going to grab another New York Giant. We have Isaiah Likely on the team already, but Likely I think is a player that can ping pong weeks with Theo Johnson, and I'm not completely convinced that their roles on the team are going to clash so hard that they keep each other off the field. I think Likely and Theo Johnson will both be on the field at times, and while I definitely prefer the ceiling of Likely, I also think Theo can get some touchdowns here and there and can contribute. So tight end is a position I don't mind taking 4 in this contest. We waited for Likely as our number 1. And if he doesn't hit, it's because maybe Theo Johnson's going off that week. So let's take some New York Giants. Let's go Malachi Fields, Theo Johnson, and Isaiah Likely for the stack. Fair investment, if you ask me. Maybe not the best click in the world. Perhaps taking Jameis Winston was a wiser choice. Maybe Jackson Dart comes off the field enough where Jameis Winston would have been better. But All right. I think I'm willing to tolerate it. I think that's it for this team. Let's give you a recap. I think there's a couple spots I would have liked to make some other picks, but mostly the auto. Still, the team's fine. We got Herbert, Jackson Dart, and Tyler Shuck, so very good, strong quarterback room. No issue with that at all. In week 8, we do get a double bye, though. Could be a little bit better without that. But Hampton stacked up. Great running back. Love him. Jadarian Price, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell, and Brooks. Maybe every week. I'm not sure who's going to be the RB2, but I think collectively I'm going to get a lot of good games out of these 4 players. And then Kalen Black, the fade on CMC, definitely worth clicking every now and then. Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, QJ, Khalil Shakir, Denzel Boston, Trey Harrison, Malachi Fields as well. Devontae better fucking hit. Better be worth it, but falls to pick 62. Not bad. Nice fall on QJ was a gift. Good fall on Khalil Shakir. And then maybe these 3 suck, but I think at least Trey Harris will work out. And the rookie bets could be tricky, but I don't think I need more than 3 receivers in the lineup every week. So I think I can advance. And then in the big money weeks, all I need is Olave, Devontae, and QJ to piece it together. I'm fine with that. Kind of risky, but I'm fine with that. Tight end, though, going to also hit my flex every now and then. Likely and Theo Johnson going to bounce into my lineup in New York. And then Juwan Johnson, Terrence Ferguson. Also some high spike ability with T-Ferg, paired with the very high floor consistency of Juwan Johnson. So a very complete tight end room despite waiting. But in all honesty, I think I kind of preferred this team had I taken Jameis Winston instead of Theo Johnson. That's the true insurance policy that in hindsight I think would have been more valuable. But I have a shit ton of Jameis Winston teams. I wanted to mix it up today. All right, we got Ship My Bread requesting a team review. I'll definitely take a look, Ship. Absolutely. I believe this is the first time we've drafted together. I'm going to review Batwheat as well. We also got S. in here. Kale Elliott is also a member, so I'll take a look at them. It's a full house, so I'm going to look at everyone, honestly, and then I'm going to say goodbye. So a reminder, hit that like button on your way out if you don't want to stick around for the team reviews, but if you do, always some valuable nuggets, always some interesting things to look at, and also consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. We're on the road to 11K now, and we're going to be celebrating on Sunday with a 10-hour live stream. So in case y'all are about to dip, just wanted to thank y'all. Now it's time for some team reviews. And one final reminder, promo code BLUNT gets you $50 in bonus funds after you play your first 5. New customers are eligible, terms apply, and that is it. Let's do the team reviews. I promise. You can Ship My Bread requested it, so let's go with him first, and then we'll hit everybody else as well. But Drake May, Daniel Jones, Brissett, and Kirk Cousins. I don't think Brissett is worth reaching on. I really don't like him as a click. I know he's back at training camp already, but at some point they're going to pivot to Carson Beck. He was 1-11 last year. No fucking chance he does anything better than like 2-10. I don't think he's going to have a long runway. I don't think the new coaching staff is going to entertain his antics. I don't think he's a good click, honestly. You also took him 10 picks above ADP. So if I will take him, it's past ADP, and I still don't feel great about it. Is it stacked, though? You do have Harrison. You do not have Trey McBride. So I'm not a fan of this click. Otherwise, though, the quarterback room looks pretty solid. But I don't love Mr. Brisket. Running back, though, has Saquon, Breece Hall, Quinshawn, Aaron Jones, and James Conner. I think you can get away with that, but in Superflex, I like to have more. You invested early enough, though, with these 3 where I think you can get away with just 5. And then if you do hit on Conner, you're living. But these 2 guys are old. They probably miss time and get hurt. Even if they are the starters week 1, they may not stay in your roster past week 5. So a little bit fragile, a little risky. I respect it, though. The top 3 are good enough to make the gamble. Wide receiver with Amon-Ra, Devontae, Harrison stacked, Alec Pierce at 123. That's kind of crazy. Ryan Flournoy, Cooper Kupp, and Brandon Ayuk. Yikes. Kupp and Ayuk, a little worthless. Not my favorite clicks, but it's good enough up top to tolerate it. Not terrible, but Ayuk is a zero, kind of a luxury pick. Not in love with it. You have Kincaid, TJ Hawkinson, Schultz, and Freiermuth, so very good tight end room. Really no issue with that at all. Honestly, the only click I don't really like is Ayuk. I would make Ayuk another running back. I don't like Brissett. Those two clicks, kind of bad. But if these two players hit, all is forgiven. Good luck. I like the team, though. Structurally, it's pretty sound. And then there are some good values. If Pierce is healthy, you got a fucking steal. Not bad. Good team. From Ship My Bread. All right. Batwheat is a member of the Blunt Rotation and just signed up. So let's take a look at his team next. Josh Allen, Jared Goff, and Bryce Young. Very fine with that. Totally legit. With Allen, I don't like to have 4 quarterbacks, so like that you have 3. Very solid. James Cook is stacked. Bucky Irving at 73. Jordan Mason, Woody Marks. You pulled up Mason, but at the turn, it makes sense. Pacheco, Ray Davis. Ray Davis and James Cook. So the Bills handcuff. The running back build is a little fragile. So if you miss any time out of Cook just for a couple weeks, maybe you don't advance because of it. Getting those weeks out of Ray Davis, not bad. I don't mind it. Given how it was built, I don't mind it at all. Ray Davis is so cheap. I think it's worth it. But Tet McMillan, DJ Moore, Carnell Tate, Jaden Reed. So really strong with those 4. And then Naylor, Tank Dell, some risky plays, but could pop. And then Dontavian Wicks, Chris Brazzell, not bad at all. Not bad at all. We got Trey McBride, Kenyon Sadiq, and David Njoku. Very legit. Good tight end build with Trey. And then the risk-reward factor with these two, I think, is a solid bet. So love the receiver room. Running back, a little bit risky, but quarterback is elite, and that's the position most important in this one. So I think you can get away with it. But running back, I think I would have maybe liked an earlier investment than Woody Marks as running back 4. I think you could have a better running back room, and I would like a little bit. Because Bucky has some, some very risky scenario right now with Bucky. So good luck, but the 101, I think it's a pretty good build with Josh Allen. What's the deal with SDOT? I'm going to assume that Mike Rob is not indeed SDOT. You're asking me what are my 5 favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh to use? Polymerization is just like fucking a critical card in your deck. Monster Reborn, absolutely worth your time. Those 2, I think, are... Forgive everyone. I think this is a more pressing question. I was late to find it. So those 2, I think, are absolutely necessary. First Down Fantasy saying Exodia. Here's the thing. Those are just 5 cards. And you need them all at the same time. So I'm not going to go Exodia because I don't think I want that. I think I can win without Exodia. But the red Egyptian God card would be my preference. I would rather have the Slyther the Sky Dragon than all 5 Exodia cards to answer this question. Give me Slyther the Sky Dragon. Because if you have 12 cards, that shit's worth 12,000 attack points. Give me the Slyther the Sky Dragon. I'm also going... I think I have to go Dark Magician, honestly. I think I just have to go with Dark Magician. And then as card number 5... I'm going to go with, shout out Joey Wheeler. I'm going Red Eyes Black Dragon. I think the vibes on the Red Eyes are much more interesting. They've always resonated with me just a little bit more. Pot of Greed's not bad. But I think you need some magic cards. Give me Polymerization. Give me Monster Reborn. Give me Slyther the Sky Dragon. Give me Dark Magician. And then I'm also going to take Red Eyes, Black Dragon. Some people will say Blue Eyes, White Dragon. But I like... if you polymerize... if you polymerize Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon, that is fucking goated. That is fucking the Yu-Gi-Oh! Joey Wheeler combo. Pause. That's the polymerization I would like most. I also like I'm forgetting. It's like the skeleton with wings. I had the one that was like not the regular one, but like the Shadow Realm one. Do I have a dual disc? I do not still own a dual disc. No. I had one at one point, but I do not currently own one. Dark Magician indeed is goated. Karibo is just you're pissing people off if you have Karibo. Karibo's kind of bullshit. Karibo's a hilarious card to have in your deck, but a trap card I like pairs very well with Karibo is the magic hats. You get 3 magic hats, and 2 of them are going to be empty. And if someone attacks you, they just get fucked. You know, they can just walk away with their tail between their legs. So if I'm going to pull up a trap card, I don't mind magic hats, but there's probably better trap cards than that. I think there's definitely some better trap cards. All right, that's enough Yu-Gi-Oh! Top though. Thank you, Scott, for hopping in. I'm not lying, Quincy. I do not own a dual disc, but S. No idea who Mike Rob is. No worries, man. We'll take a look at your team. Let me get back to the team reviews because we got a shit ton of them. Sorry, but Lamar and Stafford, you got sniped on your stacks. Penix and Mariota, not bad. Like that a lot. And then Genty, Kyron, Travion, C-Rod, and Jonah Coleman. A little risky, but I can get behind it. I don't think it's bad. The bet on C-Rod and Coleman needs to work, but I'm a little worried about trusting Kyron that much, given the timeshare and the scenario, but can definitely get by with that. Drake London is stacked. Lad McConkey at 71. Tyson, Romadunze, Travis Hunter, Jeremy Bernard, Surratt and Mooney, good receiver room. No complaints there whatsoever. Tight end with Gadsden, Barner, and Stowers. People believe in Stowers. I'm not one of them. I'm definitely Team Goddard. So good luck to you, but I think the team is very well built. Running back could use another piece, but I think it has enough invested in it already. It will check out just fine. Love the Travion Henderson bet at RB3. Good luck with C-Rod and Coleman, though. That could be a problem. We got Ship My Bread. We already reviewed it. Kale is in here. He's a member. So Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Kyler Murray. Very good at quarterback. Javante, David Montgomery. Baishal Tootin, good top 3. But Singleton, Katron, and Braylon Allen. Some rookie bets that don't have much guaranteed. And then Braylon, even if he does get the job, nothing is guaranteed in the Jets backfield. But not bad. I think worth the swing with Tennessee and Washington. Kind of ambiguous, but I think I could have liked an earlier investment on RB4. But good enough to get by with those 3. I don't mind it. Not too much, but receiver looks kind of loaded and deep. We got A.J. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Sutton and Addison, Wandale, along with Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Jennings, and Troy Franklin. So the only value at receiver you have here is Jalen Waddle at 93, like 8 picks passed. Otherwise, everyone's like right at ADP, and I think you have just maybe one too many names at receiver. I might have liked one of those guys to be another running back. Yes, maybe swap out like a Cortland Sutton and have a really good running back, or maybe a Rashid Shaheed or Juwan Jennings. You have Kyler, so maybe just Shaheed at 165. Take a running back and have just a little bit better depth in theory than Nick Singleton, RB4. That's the only thing I might have changed. Maybe a Shaheed, Wandale, or Sutton click. Pivoting to running back. But tight end is good with Kraft, Okonkwo, and Darnell Washington. People are believing in Darnell. I am still strongly in favor of Freiermuth, but maybe I should start mixing him in just because I got some FOMO. But GSD Woof, first time I think you're drafting with us, so definitely going to take a look at your team. We got Mahomes, Love, and Cam Ward. Very, very comfortable with that. Gibbs, Travis... You're the one that got Gibbs at 5. Fucking awesome. Kyle Monangai and Mike Washington. That's a little risky, though. Marshawn Lloyd, Jordan James, and Adam Randall. Love these rookies, however. Lloyd is worth betting on. Mike is worth betting on. Manungai, also valuable. So with Gibbs, it is worth it. You just kind of need to be lucky and hit correctly. But I think spreading your net with this many backups, I think at least one of them will hit. So love the top two. Hopefully that's enough. But interesting approach at RB. So receiver and tight end should be solid with Flowers, Egbuka, Christian Watson, Xavier Worthy, Matthew Golden, Omar Cooper, Dejon Stribling. You never fell behind. Very good receiver room. And then tight end with Kelsey, Andrews, and Gunnar Helm. Totally legit. You have Kelsey stacked up. You have Gunnar Helm stacked up. And then you also have Christian Watson, Matthew Golden stacked up with Worthy as well. Very fun, very complete, good team. No notes, honestly. I think it's very, very good. To get Gibbs at 5 is a gift. You absolutely landed the plane, in my opinion. So this is going to be a tough team to beat, if you ask me. At least if it advances, it will also be very unique with Gibbs at 5. Libra's watching. Are there any other members, though? I don't want to skip out. I think John Tara is a member. So I'm actually going to move John Tara up in the queue. I'll take a look at John Tara first, because Burrow, Mendoza, Shador, and Flacco can definitely work out. I think the Shador click is one of my favorites in Superflex. It's starting to become the Cleveland bet I want to make. Brew Crew, also a member. All right. Thank you for letting me know. CMC, Chase Brown, Rico Dowdle, Rashad White, Zach Charbonnet, and Claiborne. Very, very solid. I'm starting to warm up to Zach Charbonnet. At the very least, he is very affordable, and we think he'll be healthy down the stretch. That's kind of my argument for Tank Bigsby, who has no value until the starter gets hurt. Charbonnet, I'm starting to think, might be worth it. But T. Higgins, Mike Evans, Parker Washington, Josh Downs, Diggs, Jalen McMillan, and Zachariah Branch, very good receiver room. No problem with that. Bowers is elite. Otten, I believe, does not stack up, but good floor play. And then Jake Tonjes, also interesting bet. Yeah, good tight end room, good receiver room, very good running back room. And then quarterback, perhaps not the best depth in the world, but every single week you have either Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco in the lineup, other than week 6 when they're on bye. You will get away with it. You might have a 0, though, in week 6 at quarterback. Because if Mendoza's not on the field, I could also see Shador not be on the field. You might not have the right quarterbacks to tolerate the week 6 bagel at QB. I hope that doesn't cost you. That's the only thing I can think of. But personally, I don't think it's the end of the world. I'm willing to take that risk as well. This room is very well built. Love the team, honestly. Bowers makes this team really competitive. Nice team, John Tara. Baru Crew, also a member. My bad, almost skipped over you. There's a lot of them. I knew I was going to look at everyone. So Brew Crew, you got Hurts and Baker. You got Stroud and Geno. Totally fine with that. All 4 are starters week 1. So a very good quarterback room, but a lot invested. 4 picks in the top 66 at QB when you can only start 2 of them. So 2 bagels locked in the top 6 rounds. Bold strategy. We got Jonathan Taylor, RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, you felt the pressure at running back, I remember. Tyrone Tracy, Tyler Algier, Kamani Vidal, and Justice Hill. Not the best running back room for your sake. I sure hope Jonah Coleman never pops, but Dobbins going to carry you early in the season when he gets hurt. RJ Harvey should pop himself, but Coleman makes it a little tougher to expect as high of a ceiling as last year. Good luck with the running back room. It could cost you, though. You have Nico at 55, Chris Godwin, Jaden Higgins, Trey Tucker, Isaac Tesla, Ted Hurst, and A.D. Mitchell. So maybe not the strongest receiver room either. Like, once you hit Higgins, it's a lot of depth pieces with not much guaranteed week to week. So I hope Godwin stays healthy, but the anchor of Nico probably carries you. Nico, though, misses time consistently. That could be a tough receiver room. Not going to lie. Tyler Warren and Dallas Goedert, very strong, but yeah, I think you paid the price drafting such high-end depth pieces at quarterback. I think there's too many zeros on the bench that you drafted too early at quarterback to feel amazing about this team. Because 2 of these 4 names are a 0 every week. That's just the case. In week 10, you got the double bye. Geno might be benched at that point. Quarterback scares me, and then running back and receiver depth just isn't my favorite. So I'll be honest, only 2 teams advanced, Brew Crew. I'm not sure I would pick you. I think so far the team with Gibbs at 5 is a lock to advance. And I think I've seen a couple teams I think I might choose over yours. Just being completely honest. Completely honest. But Libra, didn't forget you. We got Purdy, Tua, and JJ McCarthy. The McCarthy click only has value if Kyler gets hurt. But Kyler kind of injury prone, so I get the argument. But with only 3 quarterbacks, this is not my favorite build. I'd prefer 4 quarterbacks when Tua is number 2 and JJ is number 3. Bijan, Jeremiah Love, Cam Scatterbo, Chuba Hubbard, B-Rob, and Emmett Johnson. Very strong at running back. Chuba might be a worthless click, though, but overall, I like the running back room. Makes some sense. Jefferson is stacked. Pickens, number 2. Wilson, number 3. The other Wilson is number 4. The double Wilson correlation. Ricky Pearsall, Casey Concepcion, Calvin Ridley, and Kayshon Boutte. Very, very fine. With that, if anything, you might have spent too much because there's a lot of points already with these guys. How often are Boutte and Ridley going to hit the lineup? But Kittle, Hunter Henry, and Colby Parkinson, not bad, but kind of risky, honestly. Kittle better get healthy pretty soon. So quarterback could use some help. Running back is good. Receivers elite, but maybe a little too much invested in it. At the price of tight end, perhaps. Good luck. The depth at running back, though, feels pretty effing good. I think you got a shot. We got J-Rock the Party in here as well. Yeah, Brett says the 2 Week 10 buys kind of fucked it up. Interesting that Google Translate says Amber instead of Jantara. Google Translate's weird. Quincy says, I feel like it's manageable, not the end of the world compared to something like a 0 at tight end or QB where only one player gets in. Yeah, but if there's one position I don't want the bagel, it's a quarterback. Quincy Jones, okay, in BBM, how bad is a 0 in 2 of your wide receiver slots on a given week? Like if you were to have lots of buys and only like your wide receiver 1, like Lamb got points, plus someone like Coker, and then 0 from wide receiver 3 slot. I think it all depends on how the rest of your team performs in week 7. Any 0 can cost you because sometimes the margins between team 2 and 3 is literally like 2 points. Like it can be the difference. So is it going to be a difference if you are already set to be like team 5 versus team 7? Probably not. If you're going to be team 1 every week, but week 7, I think you probably don't fall down to team 3. I think as long as you crush and you are team 1 in the lobby, it doesn't matter at all. But if you're going to be team 2 advancing, I think you could get screwed. I do think it could be a problem if you're not going to win the lobby. Brett got sniped a little bit. Dowdle and White. Yeah, those are definitely some solid ones. Good luck. But all right, we got J-Rock the Party at pick 9. We still have a few more to take a look at, but Dak Prescott, T-Lock, Carson Beck, and Mac Jones. I'm starting to think Carson Beck is a solid price at 160. Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, JCM, and Sean Tucker. Those guys can carry you, but I'm not in love with JCM. But these 2 up top, I think will be fine. The depth, though, is kind of shaky. Emmanuel Wilson, Jaden Blue. Yikes. This could be problematic if Swift or Walker suffer an injury. Because JCM, I think, could be worthless. And then Sean Tucker's all right. But if he doesn't find the end zone any given week, he will not hit the lineup very often. CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors for the bring back. That's pretty solid. Luther Burden and BTJ, very strong at receiver. The Jacoby Myers double stack with Antonio Williams bring back and Christian Kirk. I took him as well with Mac Jones. So not a bad late round back stack. And then Fannin, Kyle Pitts, and Brenton Strange, a very strong tight end room. I like this team quite a bit, except for running back. Other than Sean Tucker, these four names don't inspire me. Quarterback, though, is good enough where I don't think your flex position is going to need that many running back points. I think receiver contributes, quarterback contributes, and then tight end is also good. So, yeah, not in love with the running back depth, but that's really the only issue. Otherwise, I like the team a lot. Jay rocked the party. Played pretty well today. And then Average Ball and Binks. Y'all haven't said nothing in the chat, so I don't think I'm going to read your team just because I've literally read through 10 other rosters. For the sake of time, I'm going to move on. So it's after 6. We will take one final rip, and I will see y'all tomorrow for a very short stream. Maximum 2 drafts tomorrow. Going to try and keep it under an hour and a half. So for the 10-hour live stream on Sunday, we have as much rest as possible on The Voice. So Quincy saying thanks. That makes sense. I drafted a good team last week, but I wasn't paying attention to the bye weeks, and legit almost all my receivers had the same bye. I'd link the draft in here if anyone wanted to see it. Which bye week was it? Was it week 7? Week 7 has so many valuable teams in it. I've actually loaded up a little too much on week 7 buys, but not sure if links are allowed. I don't think you can do it. I think I'm the only one who can drop a link. I think the risk-reward ratio on that for YouTube is pretty low. Week 6. Okay, so Bengals, Vikings, Dolphins, and who else is week 6? Detroit. Okay, yeah, Bengals, Lions, Vikings. I could easily see that. Yeah, that's an easy one to get caught up with, especially if you start off with like a... Imagine you get Amon-Ra round 1 and Jefferson falls back to you. Hard to avoid it. But T. Higgins, perhaps, with Amon-Ra. I could see that. An Addison selection. Good luck. Week 6, not a bad week to get stuck with that. But thank you, S-Dot. Really appreciate it. Thanks for hopping in. Batwheat, you're welcome. Thank you for becoming a member of the Blunt Rotation. Always appreciated. Means a lot. And then Quincy got Amon-Ra and Lamb. That's not bad either. T. Higgins. Yeah, T. Higgins with Amon-Ra. A landmine potentially, but probably not the end of the world. I wouldn't worry about it too much, especially at wideout. I think you'll be okay. All right, I promised it one last hit from the pipe. Let's get it going. I'll say goodbye in just a second. Thank y'all for watching. A reminder, the 10-hour live stream on Sunday at noon Pacific time. One more shout out to all of our guests. First hour, I'm going solo, gonna get into the rhythm on my own. And then for hour 2 at 1 p.m., we got Angus McKay, my best friend, been on the channel many times before. Gonna draft a banger with Angus. Then we got Goofy Chicken Fantasy, Jiren Griffin joining us for hour 3. Gonna be lit with Goofy Chicken. Then hour 4, the 3 o'clock time slot, is with Hartman FF. Gonna draft an awesome team with Hartman. Very competitive, very sharp drafter. Then for the first time, I'm gonna meet Steve Shoup, Steve-O Speak. Knows his shit. Gonna be on my game. And I don't think I'm gonna smoke until then, because I want to make sure I can hang with Steve on the takes. Then we got his sister Meg back on the channel at 5 p.m., followed by Jamie P-Rog, Jonathan, long-standing subscriber number 23 on this channel, is joining us, a member of the Subscriber League. Jiri Football at 8, and then to close it out, hour 10 is with Who Hames. Gonna be lit. Sunday is gonna be a lot of fun. So thank you to everyone for helping me reach 10K, and I will see you tomorrow, and then more importantly, on Sunday, all afternoon. Thank y'all. Appreciate you. Peace out. Later. Bye-bye.